video.
Oh, did we go out? Oh, okay. No. Okay. Hopefully we're good.
I think we are.
Oh, yeah, show that top chat. I scroll down. Yeah, there we go. Nice. Okay. Oh, yeah, we don't want that. Mute that. Possibly there we go. Yeah, sweet. Also, I don't know if we're on mute.
It's supposed to be.
I thought I heard us. Audio is live.
Hello.
We're breaking the sound barrier. They can hear us. Damn it. I should have cursed you out.
What's going on, guys? How's it going? I'm Preacher, and you guys are?
I don't. Are we showing? Because our camera's screwed up right now, but we're Rich and Austin.
It looks like it is, for some reason, not coming through. You guys are just stuck.
Hi.
Bill is here. There it is.
On. Off and on again.
What's going on, everybody? That is the fault of StreamYard Free, and I'm cheap and didn't buy the nice $40,000 subscription, so it's probably my fault. You know.
Don't worry. The very expensive version operates just about the same.
Does it? What is the, before you guys introduce yourself, I have to know, what is this about? Austin, I got a 10-pack of turtlenecks for you.
We don't need to talk about that.
No, we need to talk about that.
I can talk about this wonderfully.
Hey, Phil, you have a whole Phil Got Fits channel. We were talking about. You
well,
do.
It's a retired channel, so that's back in the archives. You got to scroll back a couple strong scrolls on my YouTube to find.
I got news for you. It's coming back, and you're wearing turtlenecks. So
yeah, hey, strictly turtlenecks. Phil got turtlenecks is the next channel I'm making.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring back a new fad. I hate turtlenecks. That's what this is about. I have these reading and writing goals that if I don't meet them, I have to wear a turtleneck because it's the thing I despise most in life, next to people that I like co-host, but it is something that I despise. It's just the feeling of something around your circumference of your neck that you just can't breathe and it feels tight. You look like, I always say this, but like you're coming out of a Mario pipe. It's just, it doesn't look right on a human body. And Phil, since you do Phil Got Fits, you tell me if I'm wrong. I think it's out of fashion.
You know what?
That's it.
I personally think turtlenecks, I wish I could pull it off. I think it's a sophisticated look. If you can pull it off, you look smarter. It's like glasses. I got these reader glasses, but I hear you. It's all functional, man. I mean, if I feel I can't wear them for that exact reason, I feel like I'm getting choked out every time I put on a turtleneck. It's not worth the beauty's not worth the pain for me. I have not worn a turtleneck once in my life. I don't think.
I think higher of you now.
I appreciate that.
Weird.
Well, I got a little chin. I got neck trouble. I get all irritated. It's a whole thing. I don't get how people wear them. I really don't. Every time I put one on, I'm like, how do people do this all day?
Yeah,
Preacher, don't tell us you're a turtleneck guy. Did we just offend you?
Of course, I'm not a turtleneck guy.
Oh, okay.
Ryan said it makes sense that Austin isn't a Romantasy fan if he doesn't like soft choking around the neck. We're not gonna. This is a family-friendly channel. Why did I invite 2toRamble on here? Flim Nasty 11. Thank you so much for the $4.99, man. Hey, boys, just want to say thank you for introducing me to the Red Rising series. I'm an Iron Gold now and loving it.
Yes.
I have the strong opinion that Iron Gold is better than people give it credit for, but
is that you? Is that your hot take, or
no? It's not that hot of a
most
take.
People. I think a lot of people really like Iron Gold.
I hear a lot of people do the multi POV, and it was slow, and I wasn't used to that pacing, and I'm like, I loved the change. I loved the switch because I felt like it kept the world and the story that I loved, but then immediately gave me it was different enough. I got to see what people thought about Darrow instead of just hearing from Darrow, and I loved it day one. But most of the people who have read it that I've talked to, at least the first half, they're like, I'm chugging. And I disagree completely.
Huh.
Flem, thank you so much. Also, before we talk about anything else, you guys are mentioning fits. I was watching 2toRamble's video that came out. There was Richard's hot takes, and I could not stop looking at Austin's ankle high white socks that were just in the. they're just in the camera, just hanging out. The only thing worse would have been.
We're getting new to the new camera point of view. I got to bring slippers. Okay.
You said you would bring slippers. I'm the only one here rocking my moccasins.
I'm not gonna lie. I just like showing off my toes. Okay. I'm a toe guy. Don't quote that. Sorry, Phil. Phil, I'm gonna delegate all fashion stuff to you. So you tell me what to wear.
Yeah. I got you. I'll send you some links.
Yeah. I remember, if I remember correctly, Phil's channel there was some direction towards helping like short guys specifically. Was that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like,
you know what?
are ankle high socks good for the short kings or?
Oh, I mean, probably. I definitely the shorter inseam shorts will help, but I'm a mid cap guy. I'm a mid cap guy myself.
Okay. I'm starting to see why the Fitz channel stopped.
I don't have ankles. My ankles are non-existent, so I need to hide the fact that I don't have ankles. Is really what's happening.
I've heard we're all known for like the bro side of BookTube in some regards. We all like Red Rising. That's another thing I had to ask. Are we all self-conscious about our calves? Is that a thing? Because I am.
I mean, to be honest, 100%. Because I lift very regularly. Like it's something I take seriously. But calves are genetic, and my dad screwed me. Right. Like, and so there's nothing I can do about it.
Dude, same.
I'll be honest. I got greater concerns than calves. I think that is a real sign of success. You know, if you've been lifting weights for a while and like you have body positivity issues about your calves.
Yeah.
If you've dropped all the way down to that, it's like you're doing pretty darn well. Like that's your concern.
Yeah.
You're living it up.
That is until all your cousins make fun of you at functions, going like, "Look at your little twig legs." And
wait, really?
All my cousins.
Oh, they've zeroed in. They know what will tick you off.
They know how to get me. It's like I've had my older cousin Zach say the most heinous things about my legs. it's yeah. So okay, I'm glad, Preacher, you agree.
Look, I'm in a Discord with a bunch of guys I play video games with, and before I did BookTube, I had done some like streaming on Twitch with video games, and a bunch of us like did the same thing, and they had a Larry the Lobster like emote for me as like a joke about my legs, just so they knew how much it just got to me, right? And this is one of them right here. Look, this is Matt. He's jealous of my cat. Like,
patient zero.
So mean, dude. It's so mean. But all right. So let's introduce ourselves. Not like everybody doesn't already know you guys. So we'll go around from top left and across. You guys can introduce yourselves, and we're going to get rolling talking about some very serious stuff.
Are you top left?
Calves.
I think
who's top left?
All right. I'm Richard from the channel 2toRamble. If you want to know the correct book opinions, you're welcome to come onto our channel and just listen to me.
And I'm Austin. I sometimes get it right. We do book reviews. We ramble all sorts of fantasy and sci-fi topics. And yeah, we have lots of fun. And Phil, you were on our channel. We did some Red Rising breakdown. That was fun. We did a ranking tier list to see who was the best Red Rising character.
Oh, yes, it's an easy answer, but it's kind of a spoiler to give it, so I'm gonna not say it here.
Okay.
So you gotta watch all 2 hours of that video to really.
I have.
And I'm Phil. If you want to hear from a guy who literally just started reading like 16 months ago and is stumbling his way through with the in the public eye, trying to figure out what he likes and doesn't like, then I guess listen to me yap on YouTube a little bit.
I love it. Yeah. Phil, I gotta say before we get started, when I found your channel, I think it was a Red Rising video, if I'm not or was it? No, it was before the video about dudes reading books. One that was like, if you wanted to be a dude who reads books, read these books. And I loved like the editing, like the jump cutting and how quick it was and like how witty it was. I remember sending it to my buddy Dave and just being like, I love so much that this guy is like getting into reading, because everybody on BookTube is just like, we're just reading 19 books at a time. And like, just, we're kind of in the same place. And you're just like, I'm reading books and they're sick. It was such a
Books are
really-
actually dope.
yeah. It was just like a really cool way to hear about like dude who hasn't read a ton picks up DCC. Like that was such a cool to hear it from you what you thought, because you're 90% of the people we recommend these books to in that moment, right? And obviously I love Red Rising as well. You guys can see from the back there, my little banner.
Hell yeah. Yeah,
And so
that's sick.
loved the channel from like day one of seeing them, and so stoked to have you guys on. Riggs is another guy who makes fun of my calves right here. He said, "What do you mean had?" Very rude.
It's just a roast of preacher's calves. That's what this is.
And they're not even
Live
that
stream's gonna
small,
become.
guys. They're not even that small. They're average, you know.
They're regulation size calves.
Yeah. All right. So before we get started, I do want to put this up here. I'm going to be giving a copy away of Mercy, Tears of the Fallen by the man, the myth, the legend, Chance Dillon. And so that is going to be going from now until the end or close to the end. And that should be live now. If you guys look in the chat, if you do hashtag Mercy, you should get into that giveaway. And so we're going to be doing that. I have not read it yet. I just got my copy as well. I was told by Chance to tell you guys, 2toRamble, yours is on the way. If I remember correctly, it's in the mail. You're going to get
As
a
Rich
copy.
just typed hashtag Mercy to get another.
All right, let me make sure this is working. Yeah, we've got 4 entries in. And then Phil, he told me to tell you he'd love to send you one. Just gotta
I
figure
would
out how
love to get.
connect
I
with
was just about to do exactly what Rich
Awesome.
was doing.
Chance is the man. If you guys have never watched his channel, he's a fantastic channel. And I've heard that he like took some swings for the fences on this book in terms of building something awesome as a first novel. So stoked to get into it. I gotta say, I'm a little burnt out. We were talking about this maybe a little tonight. I'm a little burnt out on like giant fantasy worlds. I need like a 2-week break of like not that. I'm currently reading The Devils, and then I'm also reading
Likewise.
Gardens of the Moon, and I'm also reading Anji Kills a King at the same time, and it is the worst choice I've ever made.
Oof.
I'm having a blast, but I'm already feeling the weight of the like worlds and the POVs, and then especially with Gardens of the Moon. Oh my goodness, that first section, I was just like, who's who? But I'm
I
stoked.
feel like you kind of have to. Gardens of the Moon is a book that if you're going to enjoy it, you kind of have to focus.
Yeah,
Like
well,
it's one of those. I can. It'd be hard to like read other books at the same time.
I'm the type
I'm
of
admiring
person.
you.
I'm the type of person who can segment as long as like the medium's different. So I'm currently audiobooking Gardens of the Moon. And that's been good. I've kept it slow. I've kept it in places where I can focus, but it feels different enough from like the Devils. And I'm reading the Devils physically. So that's helped me a little bit, but definitely too much of the same thing for sure. Bit off way more than I can chew. And we're doing Anji Kills a King for our book club. So it's been good so far, but I'm behind. So that brings me to our first question though for you guys. And that's, that's the second question. Never mind. We'll do it first though. What are you reading right now? Tell us what you're reading right now.
Oh, I think this would be funny to start with because we just gave this whole spiel about, wow, are we BroTube? What's going on here? I'm reading Marcus Aurelius's Meditations.
How many times do you think about the Roman Empire, dude?
Ironically, I'm physically reading that while I listen on audiobook to The Devils. But yes, I think about the Roman Empire right now all the time because I am reading the Roman. So that what about you, Rich?
I'm currently reading On War by Karl von Clausewitz.
The stereotype continues.
Dudes.
Phil, come on, switch us up. What ACOTAR book are you reading?
Yeah. I'm reading Dungeon Crawler Carl too.
Yeah,
Dude.
I love it.
I was reading The Road before. Just from
What a switch in tone.
I needed
Holy
the switch,
crap,
man. I needed it. It was like I needed an injection of life and positivity into my veins after reading The Road.
How you liking book 2?
It's great. I've listened to most of it as well. I just went to Florida for the weekend, so I kind of just listened to it on the flight both ways. It's good. It's more of what I liked with the first one, but it's adding like other characters and more kind of like intrigue with other storylines, and everything's kind of getting bigger, which I like. So I can see myself falling in love with the series more and more.
Yeah, I would. I know some people tend to say like 2. Like I know Mike from Mike's book reviews didn't like 2 as much. I thought it was uphill through the first 2. The third one was probably my least favorite, and then it goes back. It's still great in my opinion. It goes back to just shooting through the sky for the last.
Okay, that's good. I mean, I feel like 2's on the same level as 1 right now. Like it hasn't like it's very much. I'm enjoying it just as much. And it's shorter, which is nice. You know, I'm gonna be done with it. In like,
yeah, he doesn't do that again. He doesn't.
Yeah, I was looking at the page counts. I was like, oh, this is delightful. It's 350 pages. Nice. And then the next one's like 550 or whatever it is.
Book 7 could kill a man.
Okay, I love to hear that. And yeah,
sure. Richard and Austin, are you caught up on that series?
Yep, fully caught up. We have read all the books.
Yes, all 7, right?
Chance Dillon says, "Howdy, howdy, hello, sir. Congratulations on seeing people get your book in their hands. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm sure. I can't imagine what that feels like to just like have people send you pictures of your book. I don't know. The DCC audiobooks are goated. It's a fact.
Absolutely are.
It honestly
almost mandatory.
It like almost ruined other audiobooks for me. Like for a while, where I was like, because I do not like the dramatized different. Like if there's more than one person, I'm not a fan of that for some reason. It's just not. Have you guys ever tried like the dramatized Red Rising versions?
I was about to ask that.
Not for me.
I have not yet. The graphic audio?
Yeah, just not for me. But man, like Jeff Hayes.
Goated.
Just insane how good
crazy.
he is. Yeah, we have a in the Discord that started as a gaming Discord, but now it's a ton of book stuff as well. Somebody found a whole Google Drive of all the best quotes from the books, and like it's just little like 5-second clips, and so now we all have those, and they're like ringtones and like the Discord entry tones and stuff of just like Prepotente yelling and all kinds of stuff. So it is fantastic.
That's great.
Awesome. Let's see who we got in here saying some stuff. Chance said, "Loving the Dead House Gates podcast so far." That you guys dropped that today, right?
Yes, that was today.
That was today.
Yep.
Awesome. So if now you're reading Gardens of the Moon, we did a review on that a while ago. Our opinion has significantly changed on the series book 2 on.
Okay.
So
nice.
As far as book 2 goes,
I'm not disliking it. I think the hardest thing to get used to is that the chapters aren't POV chapters; they're like location chapters. So it's like the first chapter, you're like, okay, here I am, I'm over here, and then there's a break in the paragraph if you read it physically, and it just switches to a different person in that city or whatever. And it doesn't tell you, right? It just does it, and so you might have 12 POVs in one chapter.
Yeah.
Like, and you're just like, hold on, who are we? Where are we? What are we? And then the next chapter, he just moves locations and does another 12 POVs.
What is it? The first book has 42 point of view characters, something like that. 40, I think.
Phil,
something like that.
It's different.
That's extra level difficulty that I'm shaking in my boots just thinking about all those POVs.
Yeah.
Well, I got through the first section. And the guys I'm reading it with Zachary Shea and Four Corners of the Page, who are awesome dudes. And they were like, no, you're through the first section. That's the hard section. And then I started the second section, and there was like 9 more POVs. I'm like, okay, so, but I'm stoked to hear that the second one hit for you guys a little bit better. I've heard the second one is basically, it's like all new people. Is that true? Like, it's like pretty much different. You're in a very different situation.
For the most part. Yeah. There's one group that carries over.
However, Austin, I think, made the best point about the book and about the change is book 1 was written it was supposed to be a screenplay, but then turned into a book.
Okay.
Book 2, as Austin put it, book 2 is written like it was supposed to be a book.
That makes sense.
In a non-backhanded way.
No, but like, you can tell the difference of like, I think there's like a 10-year difference between the writing of book 1 and book 2, and it shows.
Yeah.
Like,
that makes sense.
Guy clearly improved his craft on book 2.
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting that the answers to what we're reading are 2 super dude books and DCC. I mean, how has been switching to like Marcus Aurelius and what you said, Richard? How has that been like? in terms of, are you flying through it? Does it feel slow? Does it feel, I mean,
It's slower in the sense of I tried using the audiobook.
mhm.
Doesn't work. Gotta actually physically read it. And the way I'm able to read the amount that I can is driving, and like driving will get me at minimum an hour a day of reading in. When I'm at the gym, that's some more audiobook time. So it's a little bit harder to fit in the physical reading.
That makes sense.
So it's a little slower right now.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've been having a problem with the audiobook, especially probably also since it's Malazan. Like I usually audiobook at the gym, but I'm like really locked in on like a pretty difficult like lifting plan right now.
Mm.
And so like I find myself not being able to focus because I'm just like I'm straining too hard on pen lay rows or something. And I'm like, wait, what just happened? And so I'm having a hard time getting back because that's my normal audiobook time is the gym. Now I'm trying to be such a bro that I can't do both at the same time.
Bro, only think one thing at a time. Bro cannot lift and read. But that does happen all the time when there's some books that you can't multitask as well with. And if there's any Malazan, another one that we recently read, Shout of the Torturer by Gene Wolfe.
Yeah.
I did not audiobook that. I
refuse to not be fully concentrated while reading that book.
I did a audiobook for it, but it was exclusively driving audiobook time. I'm locked in on the audiobook. Driving to me is like my brain is focusing on book 80% and driving 20%.
That's dangerous with Shadow of the Torturer. Like trying to back it up.
It's an immersion reading, so
yeah, trying to back it up with Shadow of the Torturer, and you're like getting into a car accident. Phil, I don't know if you saw it or not, but a bunch of us read Shadow of the Torturer, which is the first book in this series that is kind of known for being very esoteric, like sci-fi. And most of the stream we did together was just all of us going, wait, what happened? And then like I'd say something I thought was cool, and Austin would be like, wait, what? That happened? And then Austin would say something, and someone else would be like, wait. It was just an hour and a half of that. So I'm very excited for the second one. But man, that book was the next book I read after that felt like a children's novel. Right? I was like, this is just words that make sense.
It's like in baseball when you would warm up with the donut bat and then you went to the regular bat after.
Yeah. Shadow of the Torturer is the donut bat. You're correct, Phil. Most people watching this probably don't know that reference. Just like your basketball references. It's like me and two other people are like,
I keep firing them off.
Dude. All right. Irene asked a cool question. Do any of you like reading series in a row, or do you jump or read multiple books at once? I'll answer that first. I have the unfortunate decision-making skills of having like 19 unfinished series currently on my bookshelves. So too many at a time, and definitely too many books at a time for me. Phil, what about you?
I feel like in your defense with like, especially like epic fantasy books, it's like, there's so many you want to read and they're all so large that like, I mean, to read them all in conjunction with each other, it's like 6 books that are 500 plus pages. It's like so much commitment. You need to switch it up. So I hear you. I mean, I'm just kind of developing that unfinished repertoire for myself. Honestly, I have like 6 or 7 series that I've started and want to finish, but
before you know it'll be 110.
I know. I mean, I can see it happening. There's so many. I watch you guys, and I'm like, oh, that book sounds sick. Put it on my TBR, and then it's like, you guys are doing this to me. So it's bad influences. But no, yeah. I mean, the only one I've ever read like 2 or 3 in a row was Red Rising, because I was just so enthralled that I didn't know. But I actually kind of wish I didn't do that looking back on it, because I just feel like I was so into it and I was reading so fast that I couldn't even like. I don't know. It's kind of like what you were just saying. Like I forgot the things that happened and what book it happened in, because it was like just one big 1,200 page book to me, because I read them so quickly. But I typically break them up. I'll read a bigger book, break it up with small book, potentially different genre than sci-fi or fantasy, and then I'll go back to a bigger book. That's kind of my method right now.
Richard, how many unfinished series do you currently have?
Before doing YouTube, I would just read the series in a row. Like that's what I read, and then when I'm finished, I pick up the next one. or I started unfinished series, I'd read up until what is currently released and then wait.
Right.
Now we have so many different unfinished series
Yeah.
ongoing, and we're starting to catch up. I'm finally caught up on Sun Eater. We're caught up on Dungeon Crawler Carl. We're caught up with, Stormlight Archive, Red Rising. Like, we got now quite a few, but we've started so many others of Malazan, Shadow of the Torturer, or Book of the New Sun, I mean, and God, most Game of Thrones,
Well, I mean,
First Law, everything.
Dandelion
Jesus.
Dynasty,
Dandelion
Jade
Dynasty.
Legacy, Jade War, that whole series.
Yep.
Yeah.
What
keep
else?
going.
There's a bunch.
YouTube has ruined us.
The Winter
Yeah,
King,
I was
Bernard
gonna ask
Cornwell
that.
series.
Do you guys feel like, since becoming established booktubers, like, do you all?
Oh,
like,
hold on,
feel
hold
like
on.
You need to. What do you mean? I feel like, since becoming a booktuber, like, do you need to, like, read different? Like, Rich just kind of said it. Like, you need to kind of break up your reading more than you might have naturally. Or do you think it would have happened anyway with watching other booktubers and feeling interested in a series or something? Like, do you think being a booktuber yourself changes all these reading habits? Maybe makes you read more because you have a reason to talk about it. But
Oh, for sure.
yeah,
I get FOMO bad, so that's part of it, right? It's like everybody's reading this, so I have to read it. There's been a couple books where I'm gonna wait, and then it comes out, and I watch one video, and I'm like, nope, never mind. Gotta talk about this. I finished Red Rising up through Lightbringer before I started a channel, so I read right through it. I think I put one book after Morningstar, like I just read something else, and I think I told myself I was gonna wait until Red God to read the next 3 prior to Red God, and then I just couldn't. And then once I finished Iron Gold, there was no chance I was taking a break. Kind of like Kevin here says, I'm in the middle of Lightbringer, struggling to not pick something else up. Don't pick anything else up. Finish Lightbringer, of course. But yeah, 100%. Everything has changed for me, especially number of books. Like, I don't think I've ever read 2 books at once until I started doing videos. And then it was like, I gotta read this. And then you get an arc, and you're like, I want to read this arc. And next thing you know, you got 5 books, and you're like, oh no. But
yeah, I have a whole TBR on our Notion calendar that we try to keep track of. It's absurd. It's very absurd.
I don't even think it's necessarily YouTube that's kind of throwing things off. It's not videos on YouTube per se. It's so for patron members, so we're always starting new stuff because of book club book that they select. Then when people send us stuff and we want to read that, it kind of gets started. We just keep picking up. People ask us to read something, and something piques our interests, and so we promise to start it, and then we, a third of the time actually, or less, actually deliver on the promise that we said. But it just feels like we have so many obligations to read different books and series that it kind of gets ahead of you.
Yeah. When we were doing Red Rising and we lived together at the time, I remember I finished that book and wanted to read the next one. And that was the next book I read, but I didn't pick it up the next morning and this happens with all books with us, because we want to review the book and talk about it with each other before we move on. So sometimes now that there's a 20-minute drive and we schedule our time to record these days of the week. So if you finish a book on Tuesday, but we're not recording until the following Monday, well, I want to pick and read something else up again, but I don't want to start reading a book 2 of a series and we talk about it. Then I have all the knowledge of a future book, and then I don't have the break in my head. So we wait, discuss, then. So that naturally, just having the channel and discussion between us two forces us to have to wait some time between picking up another one. That's just like maybe a unique thing with us. But that's
cool.
happens.
That's an interesting thing to consider. You mentioned reading Red Rising, like while you guys live together. One of the things I love the most about Red Rising, and it was in one of the videos when I talked about the things I love about the series. I talked about just how I'm a moments reader I love big moments, but even more when I can talk about those moments with other people and then see other people like go through those moments. And so I took our students, I'm a pastor primarily, and I took our students on their spring retreat to the beach. And one of our students had Golden Sun. And it was 1 o'clock in the morning. We're all supposed to be in bed. And 3 of the other students had finished Golden Sun already. and we're standing around the table, and he's on the last chapter, and we're just hovering over his shoulder, and he turns the last page, reads what happens at the end of Golden Sun, just puts his head down, and just like doesn't say a word, and then he just gets up and walks to his bedroom and closes the door. And we were just like those moments, that type of moment, like Red Rising just has so many of them, right? Like all the way through the series where you're just like, I can't wait till you get to chapter X. And so I've got like probably 8 of our students who have currently started reading it. And so like one's all the way in Lightbringer, one's in Dark Age, one's in Iron Gold. And they're all, I have 7 group chats basically that have like the next kid taken out so we can talk about spoilers. And it's like, it's made me love the series even more. Right. So I can't imagine getting to like read it with your boy, and you're like in the room, like, did you get to chapter 19?
Yeah.
That would be so sick.
It's awesome.
All right. Cool.
That was the benefit of reading, like when we were in the same house, of like there were several moments where we got to a chapter and like I got to a part and I would like run up the stairs and then like burst in your room like, oh my God. It was, we had several of those moments. Those were fun.
Yes, we
That's
did.
awesome. Phil, do you, this is not a question I wrote down, but I think it's a good one. Do you have some people that you like are ever reading alongside or like kind of talking about books with?
Really only my brother, and
Okay.
he has stopped reading with as much velocity since he had a kid. So, yeah. But honestly, he did. So me and him read Red Rising together, the 3 books, and we crushed it, and it was awesome to talk about it. And it's like what you guys just explained. It's really cool to like just be like sharing the excitement and be like, I can't believe that happened. And I feel like that is kind of what made, like, I just have such a like nostalgia kinship. Like it's like Red Rising is so much for me of why I'm even here right now. So those moments, I agree, moments reader, and like those things, they come in droves with the Red Rising series. So it was way cooler reading that with him. And then I just went on and read everything else by myself before he could, when he had a kid.
One of my kids, I say kid, he's over 18. One of the kids that was in my student ministry hit up our group chat the other day and he's like a third of the way through Dark Age. And he's like, I think I hit the worst part of the book. Cause I've been telling him how like awful Dark Age is, right? In terms of like the things that happen. He's like, I think I hit the worst part of the book. And I was the other kid who's finished with Dark Age. Me and him were just like in our own group chat, just laughing at him because he thought a third of the way through Dark Age was the bottom of the barrel, right? And then he finished it yesterday and just like sent me, I hate Pierce Brown.
That book was tough, man. That was a wild book.
I loved it, man. I came from horror. Like I was a big horror reader before fantasy. And so like one of the things about like grimdark and stuff is that like worse has happened in like some of the horror I've read. And so Dark Age just felt like a return to some of the stuff that's happened in the books I read before fantasy. First chapter of Chris says, "What's up, guys?" Irene says, "You sold me. I'll read Red Rising." Of course.
Nice.
Dude.
Love me some Red Rising, but it ain't quite Sun Eater. They're nothing alike.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I think
they very much.
Now, my pitch for Sun Eater, for people who like Red Rising is that it is Red Rising if it was from the perspective of Roke. I think that Roke's like voice and his flowery nature and his poetic, like it sounds like Roke is talking. And it's somebody who comes from like the highest of society. So, I think that's probably a pretty shallow thing. Like for Red Rising people, I think that makes sense, vastly different though. So much slower. I think that's part of the problem with going into Empire of Silence, expecting Red Rising is like the pace.
Well, yeah. Why do we get the comparison so much?
It happens all the time.
I was so surprised when I read Empire of Silence, and I think from watching you guys and other people that like that was like just kind of the setup book for the second book was gonna be great, and they kind of get better and better. But yeah, it was so different going from Red Rising to that. But after reading, I've only read Howling Dark. I'm still waiting to read Demon in White, which I can't wait for. But it's awesome, but it's so different than Red Rising. It's so weird that they get compared so often.
Yeah, Mike did a really good video on that.
It's that surface level version of like they are both space operas with heavy Roman inspired cultures.
Man.
So like It's very much like I get it on the surface, it's understandable.
Yeah.
But
Darrow
I
would think
think it is.
Hadrian's a dweeb, though, for sure.
Oh, without a doubt.
Totally.
Yeah.
yeah, but
Well, I believe I only know a certain Hadrian.
Yeah. I am through. Have you been reading the novellas, Phil? I'm through Queen of Mid Ashes, so I've done the first
No.
two main ones and the first two novellas. The Lesser Devil is amazing, in my opinion. It's such a step up in his writing, and then you get this third person perspective, and you get to see somebody else, and you get to go somewhere else. What I didn't love about Queen of Mid Ashes was that I was thinking it was going to be another third person novella, and it just felt like a shorter mainline entry because it's back to first person and it's Hadrian again. So the story was cool, but I was more expecting all the novellas are going to be like the first one. And then I didn't get that with Queen of Mid Ashes, but the Lesser Devil is awesome. And he does some really cool stuff with religion in that one. But yeah, I don't super understand the comparisons, but beyond, like you said, the surface level stuff. But I just want people to love both series. And I feel like if you start with Red Rising and you expect that in Sun Eater, the pacing might throw you off. And the way it's written. But Matt here says, I'm where I'm up to in Sun Eater. I differ in my opinion. I still love Red Rising, but Sun Eater books 5 and 6 could change my mind. I've heard that 5 and 6 are gas, so that's not surprising. All right.
Also, I think probably the best comparison to Red Rising, I would say, is way closer to the Will of the Many than it is to Sun Eater. Now, Will of the Many, it's hard because no other book has captured Red Rising to me, just like no other book has captured Sun Eater for me. They're obviously so different. But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but James Islington said Red Rising was an inspiration. I'm almost positive.
I believe he did, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's there, but also you have the Roman-inspired stuff, faster pace. You get a lot more. And the main character has similar elements in a way.
Elements, but also it does go a very different direction.
Completely different direction, yeah.
I'm so happy with that James Islington is getting the love he deserves with Will of the Many, because if we have all of these great authors that we modern authors we see right now that have their specialties, James Islington is a master at plotting. He is the plotter to end all. I trust that man completely.
Yeah.
It's one of those things I was
just like
so
trust
happy.
Anderson.
Don't hurt me.
Oh, sorry, I brought it up.
Don't hurt me.
Just I don't know.
Don't do it.
He can't get it wrong. There's no chance. There's no chance he screws it up, right? No chance. Okay.
Yeah. Just like his humor, he can't get his humor wrong either.
No, but my thought of if he taking what is it? God, where is it over here?
What do you think?
Somewhere.
Will the Many or right behind you?
There we go. Lucanus trilogy.
Yeah.
Of taking Lucanus trilogy of ultimately characters, mostly the world building, other than the magic system, pretty bland. Almost everything was not that great. But by the third book, it was such a masterfully ended series with the plot. It was brilliant. Yeah. I'm like, oh wow, this guy, he somehow pulled this together, and it's still amazing. I'm so excited for Strength of the Few.
Yeah, I had a buddy who read Lycanius, and he said it this way. He said, I finished the first book, and I said, there's no chance that he can pull this off. And then he said he got to the second book, and he was like, there's definitely no chance he can pull this off. And then he finished the third book and was like, oh, frick, he pulled this off.
Wow.
How did he pull this off?
Phil, have you read it? Because I'm out of the loop right now.
The Will of Many?
No, the Lucanus. His other series.
No.
Okay, I gotta read.
Here's the thing: you're not gonna like book 1.
I'm okay with that.
Or book 2.
I'm fine. I'll trust through.
You're gonna not like both books, and then go, man, I'm now bitter. I don't like it. You're gonna go into book 3 going, you've made me spend so much time with these characters I don't like. But then he's
I need that.
The ending is going to be so good. You're going to be like, oh my God, it was actually worth it. Amazing.
But can we talk about this atrocious take from Jake here? Will of the Many is super overrated, right, Preacher? So he's not done yet. He has 100 pages left.
Okay.
And he says right now that it's just good, and he doesn't understand why people think it's like one of the best newer like fantasy books. Just finish it, bro.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say. Just finish it. Matt, what's up, man? Matt showed up. Said Red Rising and Sun Eater are just sci-fi fantasy books set across space. Other than that, they are wildly different in just about every way.
100%.
Totally agree.
Yep.
Ouch, Wind and Truth. Totally agree.
Honestly.
So, question for you, Phil. And this is again not one I was going to ask, but now that Wind and Truth has been brought up, are you planning on doing the whole Cosmere? Like, is that a plan? You want to?
I'm planning on starting Stormlight probably next year.
Okay.
I want to read one of his standalones this year, and I have so many other things that I want to read, but it does kind of like change it a little bit, knowing the polarizing response to the most recent book. Like, I've just heard nothing but raving reviews about Stormlight, and then it's been so fascinating to see like, oh well, like the last book kind of like, I don't want to say screwed everything up because you hear mixed opinions, but it makes me think of like, if I knew everything I know about Game of Thrones, the show, like after and I was just to start today, and I know how poorly it ended. Like, would I start the series? And you guys talked about this on one of your recent podcasts. And for me, I might not start the series, but I will read Stormlight. I'll definitely do it, but it does change like what my expectations might be.
I think you should still read it. So I gave Wind and Truth a 2 out of 5.
Man,
That's a little too high, but I can see it.
Smidge high.
Yeah.
That's honestly worse than okay.
There is and the only reason I would say still read it is because technically it's still open ended, right? Like technically he can bring us back.
Yep.
He has a lot of work to do, in my opinion. But he can bring us back, and he did an interview recently, like posted online some really candid thoughts about like the criticisms. And while the first thing I thought was, man, this is really cool that he just straight up talked about the criticisms without being a jerk or kind of like fumbling around it. He just said, people are saying this, and here's my thoughts. Seems like a very genuine dude. But I, at the same time, 100% disagreed with his reasoning, because he justified a lot of the things I didn't like with some specific reasons that I was like, no, like, I don't care. I don't care if you have a reason. No. And there's just a couple specific things, but I would still read it. Books 1 through 4, in my opinion, I have a strong opinion that book 4 is actually good, like probably the second or third best book out of the 5, which is not what most people think, but that's okay.
I liked it more on my reread, actually.
Now, I'll say one of the reasons I liked it more is because it was the only one of the series that I had a deadline on. So I flew through it because I wanted to be ready for Wind and Truth. And so I think that helped. With the other ones, I slowly read them. Oathbringer, I split in half because it was like before I had a channel and like wasn't reading a ton. And so I like read it, half of it, and I read the other half of it. And I think that reading all the way through book 4 helped a little bit, especially like with the pacing concerns. I already didn't love his pacing before book 4. So,
I mean, you were talking, Preacher and Phil, about moments and how Red Rising has those moments. Phil, if you want moments, that's a moments book. You're going to think back to them and go, that scene that happened. So you're going to get that out of it. I hope you weren't too discouraged, because it is a little discouraging. We do talk about, you're going into a series, you hear all the hype, and then you hear Game of Thrones season 8 comes out, and you miss the ride, you miss the wave. And is it worth it to still join that wave? That's difficult, because I'm on the side of I would rather have it unfinished than disappoint you in the end. However, it isn't the end of the end, so maybe there's still books 6 through 10, which will finish in 2 decades from now. So maybe who knows? Who knows? But yeah, Phil, what's your take then? You're gonna start it next year and try to finish all 5 of the books, or
So is there 5? So there's 5 books.
5 out right now.
Yeah. I think my hesitation is that those will be the 5 longest books I've ever read in my life. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that scares me, and it's like it's a big commitment thing. So I mean, for me, like, I'm definitely gonna read them. It's probably gonna be next year, just because I want to finish what I kind of planned out on my TBR this year.
Yeah.
And you know, who knows? Maybe I'll start it in December if I'm like ahead of the game or something. But yeah, I'm still definitely gonna read it just because I really loved Mistborn, and it felt like the opposite of what we're talking about. Like I felt like it was tied up perfectly and everything. It was like
perfect.
you know, yeah. It was like a nice ending, and it had complete closure. So I know that I loved his writing with that, and that's all. That's my only Sanderson. So I wanted to try something else, a little smaller, less of a commitment, and then go into that. So I just bought Yumi in the Night. It's actually right here, weirdly. I just bought
nice.
this.
Oh, yeah.
Got this at the used bookstore. Random, probably second one to pick, but yeah. So I'll read something else, and then I'll do that sometime next year, and probably read a couple of them. I don't think I'll read all 5.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, you know, we talk about being moments readers. There's a moment in Oathbringer that when I finished that moment, I was like, I'm gonna go get a tattoo. I'm gonna, you know, like you're like, oh my gosh,
that's what you're gonna tell me. I'm sold.
I gotta commemorate this, right? Like it's just like it was that big of a. It looks like one specific line that I was like, I'm gonna make this my Facebook profile. Like you're like this line, you know.
My AIM away message now.
What really stuck is that I just didn't find any of those moments in Wind and Truth. Like, there just those moments just didn't exist. And actually, on the opposite end, there's moments I remember because I went, what did he just say or do? You know, and that was the frustrating part for me. I like what Matt said here. Maybe you needed a deadline on Wind and Truth. It would have been a 2.75.
That's the sad thing. Austin and I did kind of have a deadline on it. We pushed through the book, but man, I would have DNF'd the book if not for YouTube at several points, but I was forced myself to read that book. But we did have a deadline of like, we got to do a video on it. And then, yeah, what a shame.
This is an important question. No turtleneck?
Does everybody know now? Is a secret out? What's going on here?
The secret must be out.
See, if you wore a normal black turtleneck, no one would have talked about it. That you wore a flesh-colored turtleneck. That was the choice.
It's the only one he had.
I'm a designer.
The only one he had. All right, so we're 46 minutes in, and I haven't gotten to technically the first question. We did the second question, but you know, that's fine. I want to know. Let's give up on reading for a minute. I want to know, what do you guys like to do outside of reading? I want to learn about non-booktube, non-reading. What do you guys like to do? What is y'all's hobbies? We'll start with Richard.
Well, I like to hike. I like to build fun things. I like repairing and I guess I'm kind of just a tinkerer, I guess. Yeah. In general. I like doing home renovation projects is kind of fun for me. But that I like to cook weird things. I don't know. I have a bunch of different interests. In all honesty, I wish I dedicated more time to one than kind of spread out. But actually, I just recently found out that there is a makerspace like 15 minutes away from my place that I have all of these power tools that I've been wanting to do projects with, and like because I did have space in my old place, and now I have a tiny shed outside my apartment, and now I found this new makerspace. So I'm so excited. I actually have a project that I'm making for you that I needed the space for, and so I can actually go there and get it done.
Wow.
That's cool.
It's a surprise. It's a gift.
It's a turtleneck.
It's a turtle. It's a wooden turtle.
I'm gonna make you a wooden turtle
with splinters. Just let's get the jugular.
That's cool. Don't let this really average beard fool you. I know nothing about tools and building. It's like a joke in our church that like when we have things we have to build, people just don't ask me to help. Right? They're like, he doesn't even know how to use this. He doesn't even know how to use a screwdriver, man. You know. So, Austin, what about you, man? What do you like to do outside of reading?
Outside of reading, the cop-out answer is watch movies, but that's still stories. So I would say I like board games a ton. So I'm a big chess fan. I like the way Rich and I basically met over playing Texas Hold'em and poker. So a bunch of game nights with friends. I also the hiking route of outdoor stuff, running, gym, general health. And I know that's a weird thing to say, like, oh, you enjoy running. You get the runner's high. People, you get the high, you get, when you get a good pump, it's you guys understand. So it's, It's nope. But then yeah, running is painful. And other big things are that's pretty much it. Then reading and stories are the big thing.
Writing, movies is the big stuff.
That's the
and
big
then
stuff. Yeah.
gym.
And then yeah.
Nice.
And that just keeps it so I can listen to more audiobooks. I don't actually like doing that.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
But
The,
yeah, big thing is board games. Board games is probably my main hobby outside of
favorite board game.
eating. Oh, you can't ask me that. You
I
can't
can.
do that.
I can.
I think he can.
Top ones, okay. Oh. Can I say 3, maybe?
Yeah,
Is that-
sure.
Okay. Castles of Burgundy is awesome. Scythe is awesome.
Okay.
I love Wingspan. That's a fantastic board game too. Root is a classic. Root is so much fun.
The game.
The game is so much fun.
There's a different name for it, but we've called it in
The
our
game.
friend group The Game. I don't know the name of it.
The game is great. And those are some of them. Oh, there's so many great board games. Also, you gotta love those good word games as well. Where what is it? The wheel wavelength. That's fun. More social dynamic game. Diplomacy. If you want 7 people to play war and have the most, it's Risk on steroids, and it's so simple to learn. Fantastic board game. Sorry, that was more than 3. They're great.
Oh,
They're
least favorite board game.
I love
Like,
how
most
excited you are about this.
Most overrated board game by far. Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah.
I want it removed from the options of friend group board game things. Like, it should not be played anymore. It's had its time.
Yeah.
It is past.
The problem with
good.
Cards Against Humanity is the same problem I have with Apples to Apples, and that's this. I'm an extremely competitive person. And so if people just pick cards because of like different reasons, how am I supposed to like min-max my ability to win this game? And like you play Apples to Apples, my wife's family, they won't even play with me anymore because I'll get mad. I'd be like, last round you picked the funniest card. So I put the funniest card in, and now you pick the card that makes the most sense. That doesn't work. You know, like I'm like getting mad because I'm trying to figure out how to win. In the same way Cards Against Humanity is like that. We play a lot of card games. So like I'm a huge Dominion fan. I've got a couple of the expansions.
Oh,
packs.
Dominion's
yes, I
awesome.
like Dominion.
Yeah.
Dominion's
Yes.
fun.
And then there's a very simple one that is so much fun. It's called Coup. Have you ever played Coup?
Oh no,
It
is
is-
that the social dynamic game like Secret
It's
Hitler
a
in a way?
it's a in a similar way. So you've got basically like these 2 henchmen who do different things, but they're face down, and you can lie about who you have, but you can you basically are pretending or being honest about who you have, and you're trying to get money to then assassinate people, to assassinate their henchmen. And if you have no henchmen, you lose. But you can just lie and say you have any henchmen. But if you get called on it, you could lose one. And so it's basically like a social strategy, like lying, kind of almost BS type game, but it's so much fun.
I'm gonna buy
Absolutely.
it. I have it down. I will.
Absolute blast.
We will play it.
You will get so mad at Richard the first time that he calls you on something and he's right, and you have to like kill your people off. But those 2 games are a blast.
Isn't that kind of a fun aspect of when you play board games with like a tight group of friends? At a certain point, you start being able to notice the little details with your
100%.
friends, but like then you have to play the same game outside of your friend group, and it's just a completely you don't get all the inside information. Like it's wild for us to play poker together as a group, and then play poker at a casino. Very different games, like completely different.
Yeah,
it's the same thing with like cards or like Secret Hitler. Is probably the biggest one of playing Secret Hitler outside of our friend group is a wildly different game.
Yeah, we that Discord I've mentioned a couple of times. It was mostly gaming guys. We meet in person once a year, so we do a get together, which is an absolute blast. The first year I was worried someone was like a secret murderer, but they weren't. And so every year we have a meetup and we pick a different location. This year we're heading up to like New York. There's about 30 people show up, and it's an absolute, we rent a huge place, and it's like a whole thing. It's an absolute blast. But the last couple of years, we've played a ton of Secret Hitler, and we played a ton of One Night Werewolf, I think is what it's called. One Night.
Awesome.
I don't know if you've ever played that one. That one's fun.
Yes, Werewolves is a lot of fun.
Yeah, and so
you have
that's
30 people doing that.
I mean, not all 30 play it at the same time, but you're kind of rotating in and out, and It's what a wild. I have to tell like normal people in my normal life. I'm like, hey, I'm going away for the week, and they're like, where, with your wife? And I'm like,
Yeah.
Guys I play video games with on the internet. And they're like, what?
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's another thing we do. We have a yearly trip. It's becoming tradition more, where we all go to an Airbnb. And last time we did a murder mystery, had like 14, 15 people in the house, murder mystery, solve it, figure it out, who's the murderer. This next one around, I'm transforming it into my bachelor party and doing a spin-off of the show. It just came out, so you might not know it, but Secret Millionaire, or
I haven't.
I saw that, a couple episodes of it. Yeah.
You did, yes. So I had some complaints of how they ran the show a little bit. So I was going, okay,
doing it better.
I think I can improve this game, and I'm now forcing all my friends to be like, hey, you got to come. It's a bachelor party, and then I'm gonna make this game, and it's gonna be fun.
That actually is something we need to do. Is like,
yeah,
we need to watch a couple episodes together so you can show me what.
I will do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
you'll see.
I can help on the plan.
Yes.
Nice. Phil, what do you like to do outside of reading, man?
I'm gonna have to pick up board games after you guys just told me on board games. You guys just started board games.
Phil got board games. This is the next channel coming.
The last board game I played was Connect 4 with my friends, and we had a blast. I couldn't imagine what these games would be. So I've honestly, like, for me, I hang out with my fiance, my dog. I got really into golf last year. I feel like I turned 30. And I got into reading and I got into golf. I just totally have different hobbies than I did when I was like 29. I got really into golf
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just leaning right into it. And like you, preacher, I have the facial hair. I have no skills with anything. I couldn't even paint a room well. So I try to find other ways that I can,
pretend to be a man. Yeah.
Waste my time. Yeah. And yeah, golf, being an old, guy, golfing is the next best thing. I stink at it though. I'm trying to get better, but it's impossible to be good at early on. So, but yeah, I just went on like a golf trip with my buddies and played at my bachelor party too. And that's what I'm kind of probably focusing it on, is just smashing balls into the woods on a golf course is what we're probably going to do. So
nice.
Now, Phil, have you gotten into that stage of adulthood where I can't believe I didn't mention this? This is my other biggest hobby, but pickleball. Pickleball.
Dude, I know I would love it. And I
played today, baby.
Two pickleball paddles and balls. I have them on my person, and I have yet to play it.
Phil, why is it so much fun, dude? Why is it
the
so
best
much fun?
time? Because it's just better tennis. Tennis has this big
or
barrier to
ping
entry.
pong on steroids. It's better tennis or ping pong on steroids, in my opinion.
Exactly.
That's why I love it.
You can pick it up so easily. I play with my grandma, and you just pick it up so easily.
You spike on your grandma as long as you're not in the kitchen.
There you go. But yeah, it's so fun, because that's also the thing too. You can vary it on levels of seriousness. Like, you can get competitive and actually have fun with going hard at pickleball, and it's exerting. But you can also go very casual and still have as much fun. It's got all.
I need to get into it. I know I would love it.
We took 9 of our middle schoolers. It's the private school that is at our church. We took them today to, like, there's a local park that has 8 courts. Ooh. And they're all trying to learn how to play, and we're just having a blast. I'm kicking their butt. And there's like 4 old dudes in the other corner who are like just going to town, like yelling at each other. And you're like, the most competitive old dude game I've ever seen in my entire life. And that is pickleball, right? It's like,
yes.
I have a lady that goes to my church who I didn't even know that she could like jog. And she's like, I play pickleball 4 days a week. Right. And I'm like, oh, sick. And so it's been a blast. We just bought a net for our church, and we're like legitimately talking about like putting courts behind the church just to have
sick.
It. Like, but I have like Ryan's idea right here. Next year, we're getting a Books to Bro Cancun trip planned, golf and pickleball included. You in?
And I mean, it turns out
don't tempt us. We will do that.
Yeah, we might have to do it before Phil gets married, because then you'd have to convince his wife. And then, I already have to convince my wife to let me go hang out with video game buddies once a year.
Well, you're a pro. I can ask you for all the tips, so I'm covered.
Wash lots of dishes. Go
over a lot of dishes this week. What's going on? Oh no,
So like, do the things that you would do right before you asked for something you knew was a lot to ask for, but do it for like 2 or 3 weeks longer than you think you should. So there's like a month of like, wow, he
Yes.
has really been killing it. And then you're like, hey, honey, and it hasn't been a day, it's been a month, and you should be good to go.
I
think
respect that. Yeah.
Austin learned the trick of invite his wife out to the thing, but the thing being such the opposite of what
Right.
she would want to do.
100%. I invite her
invited
to
her, and then you
Yeah.
just go by
I
yourself.
actually wanted her to come watch Gone with the Wind and all these long, boring movies, and she doesn't love that I'm a cinephile, that I just like really geek out over films, because she thinks they're boring, and she's correct. A lot of it, they're pretty pretentious movies, but it's fun.
No, you want to tell them about the movie that we're going to watch this next week?
So Rich planned a movie night for Saturday, and I was telling her about it. She's like, "Oh, what movie?" Like sounding a little interested in it. I said, "Well, it's a black and white French film from the 1950s about a game of chess against the metaphorical version of death," and just kind of it just gave that layout of going. I'm not sure if it's. By the way, now I've understood it's Swedish. Also, don't know if there's much dialogue in the movie. Basically, it's the most bare bones, pretentious drivel that I love to gobble up that you could possibly give. And then her reaction to that is just, like an audible groan. I could see her looking down at me in that moment, and
she's
and
like,
she
"But
was
what
laughing.
about Love Is Blind? Can we do that instead?"
Actually,
Right?
we did watch 2 seasons of Love Is Blind. I
Love
did
Is Blind is gas. I don't care what anybody says.
It's impossible to pull your eyes away from it. Also,
It's a train wreck. It's an absolute train wreck. My wife made me watch the first season, and I asked her to watch the second season.
Then you watch the third season by yourself.
Absolute train wreck. All right, so we've got I've got some rapid fire questions, which I'm going to force us to answer quickly and not expound on, which is not going to happen because I mean, look who's in this chat right now. So some rapid fire questions. We'll start with Richard and go around and down, and then the next question we'll go back. There's just a couple of these. These are very silly and just fun. I'm excited to hear the answer from Richard on this one. What's the hottest take you've ever gotten roasted for on YouTube? Like, what comes to mind when you're like, I said this thing, and then comment section just lit me up?
I mean, right off the bat, I think it's probably Name of the Wind of how much I hate it.
Should be.
But it was almost 50-50. I had people just kind of flaming me in the comments like, idiot, moron. And then also like, me too, same. So it was fiery but divided. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of there's probably something on our shorts. That's probably what you kind of out of context clip just blew up.
Yeah.
That's
Matt, there's one Matt that here, I still get flack for. Yeah.
Matt here says Name of the Wind for 2toRamble. Matt's one of my buddies. He saw you guys at Dragonsteel, and he like ran you down to tell you he didn't like your opinion of Name of the Wind.
Oh, that Matt.
He told me, he was like, I saw Richard, and I was like, hey man, Name of the Wind's a good book. And I was like, so I think that's a good answer.
It's probably true.
What about you, Austin?
Equal for the Name of the Wind stuff. I think that there's a couple. Sorry, rapid fire. Okay, 2 come to mind immediately. One is that I was lackluster on the third book of First Law, of the one that everybody loves the most.
Yeah, you should be flamed for that.
So that one. And secondly, that there's some shorts that we get a lot of flack for. One of them was I used ChatGPT to explain why I dislike the book Neuromancer, because it's a book about the Matrix and technology, and I was making a gag off of it. That didn't come across in the short clip as much because the full context of the clip. So everybody to this day in the chat of that, we'll get a comment every other week or so, just going like, media literacy is dead. We have to use AI for how to consume books.
Yet, unironically, they're typing this on TikTok. They're scrolling through TikTok. So
those are the 2 that come to mind for me.
Nice. Matt said running them down was a bit of an embellishment. I'm sure, buddy, you can tell yourself that all you need to.
The audacity to say like I ran to see 2toRamble. No, I slowly trudged, regrettably.
I changed my trajectory slightly.
And pace for sure. Rick said I saw it. They were together. He said he saw it, so he ran them down.
You ran.
All right, Phil, do you have any takes you've been roasted for?
The one that comes to mind is I did like a tier list of everything I read last year, like the 26 books I read, and I put The Martian on my D tier and Project Hail Mary on my S tier. So I got roasted for that. But what people don't really understand is that my D tier, because I had never made a tier list, was still like 3 stars. So it was like still fine. But I read Project Hail Mary before I read The Martian, and it was missing a crucial factor for me, and that factor being something that pops up halfway through the book that we all know if you've read the book.
Yeah.
And that made me fall in love with that book, and The Martian just didn't. I was waiting for that special little guy to pop up again in The Martian, and it never happened. So I didn't love The Martian, and I still get comments on that. D tier is wild. Which again, 3 stars isn't that bad. I gave it 3 stars.
Well, you have to have a D tier. I had that problem last year with mine too, is because it was the start of my channel for the most part. And for most of that year, I wasn't doing the channel. I only read stuff I knew I was going to love. And so it was like, I get to my tier list and I'm like, I had 1 DNF and I had like 1 book that was okay. And everything else was like really good, because I wasn't forcing myself to read like 6 or 7 books that were dog water. And so I've got a couple more of those this year that were just like, but even still, like, I think I'm early enough in my reading journey that like I have so much good stuff to read that's like at worst going to be a 3 to 3.5 star.
Exactly. Yeah.
That like, D tier is still, like you said, kind of like a solid choice. Matt said, I walked with purpose. We're still on this, boys. We're still on this. All right. Next rapid fire question. This is because of something that happened to me recently. I made a video where I talked about books that I would love to see turned into video games. And I chose 3 options for genre and the people who would make the game, and compared it to like a game that person had already made. And it was my favorite video I've ever made. And so the question is, do you have a video you loved making that absolutely tanked? Because that is my 10 out of 10 tank YouTube video. And I spent the most time on it of any video I've ever made, and I had a blast doing it, and no one watched it. So,
That's
Phil,
how it works, man.
do you have a video like that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. A couple come immediately to mind. But the one being is one that Richard and Austin were some of the first people to hear. I made a Mistborn book wrap, and literally had paid someone to animate it, and I was like, oh, this is gonna hit. Like, people are gonna love this. I was proud of it. I was like, I'm actually kind of spitting in this song. Like, no big deal. Like, I thought it was like the rhymes were okay. So I was pumped about it, and immediately it just tanked. It just it literally has like a 2% click-through rate, and however I change it, it gets worse. Somehow gets worse click-through rate. I've changed the title about 10 times. At this point, I've just realized no one wants to watch a dude rap about Mistborn book 1, and it's full of spoilers. I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking, and I was. My fiance was even like, every time I talked about it, she was like, Phil, you can't put that out. I don't.
I can't let people.
She doesn't.
My mom might see this, dude.
She got the ick big time hearing me rap that. Like,
she hands the ring back. Like,
we were close. It was close to that. It's.
I'm doing it anyway.
I might have to unlist it, honestly, at this point.
She's like, it's me or the video, Phil. You're like, where's the mic? I'm doing this.
Yeah, I'm just
thanks for telling me so I can go download it before you unlist it.
Yeah,
I need to keep that.
You just make a part 2. You just make a part 2. It's like, in Mistborn, there are horses. Because of this video, I got a divorce, and I'm gonna keep.
Honestly, Austin, that was more fire than anything I rapped in that video. That's probably why it didn't get any views.
That's a $1 million rhyme right there.
Yeah.
See, now you just gotta double down on book 2.
Yeah.
That's what Rick said. He said, I'm still waiting for the Well of Ascension rap. So.
Appreciate it.
You have one person who liked that video. It was Rick.
Yeah, my wheels are already turning now. That's the issue. I get one person who's like, actually. So maybe.
So you might just inspire something, because if we were talking about hobbies earlier, this is something I don't think I've never even said this to Rich. I've never said this. Only Nicole knows because she hears me in the shower all the time. I'll either sing or come up with raps that are just stupid. Like I'll just go off like water, clotter, daughter, shot. I'll just keep going. And it's just so strange. And I get in this, you get shower thoughts. I get shower ticks where I have to sing or say something out loud.
I have a recommendation for you. At your bachelor party, where you guys are playing all the games, you got to incorporate a freestyle rap off somehow. And you guys are just gotta spit flame. You can Harry Mack it.
As long as you videotape it.
Harry Mack it. Take some keywords and try to incorporate them in the rap.
If that doesn't show up on the channel, I'm gonna be hot.
Yeah. I think they did that in Secret Millionaire, so you might as well include that in there.
I like that a lot. Yes.
Yeah. You're gonna sound like the worst version of like the Eminem ciphers.
Yeah.
That everybody makes fun of. I don't know. All right, Austin, do you have a video that you remember that you were like, I had a blast making this, and then it just tanked?
Yes, I do. And there are videos that nobody has ever seen. I know that for a fact because they have. So it was so early on in our channel as well. We had two of them, 2 video essays that Rich and I did, where we decided, okay, we do the podcast. We were trying to do some shorter videos once a week because in the initial phases, we did podcast Mondays and we were like, oh, let's throw a shorter video up Fridays so we can do little YouTube, little podcasts. That idea for the Friday episodes at the time was to have a written out, planned video essay where we were interested in some topic and we each took one. I took on what was the first ever fantasy story ever told, the history of fantasy books. I was fascinated by that. And Rich took the meditations route. If he just read meditations, he wanted to break down and describing it. And he worked on his script. I worked on my script, and we laid out, which we've never done before because we're just doing podcasts. We yap, we do some prep notes. However, with this, writing a script's tough for a video because you have time to make sure you don't sound stupid, and you're trying to interweave a beginning, middle, and a little mini story. So we made those. On top of that, did some heavy editing at the time when I was still the editor. So edited in all this stuff that I just thought was great, and boom, plastered on all the effects that I could and making it work with the story. Only 2 to 7 minute videos, however long they were, but those took more effort than our actual pod episodes did just because of the amount of time that went into them. Nobody watched those. Just boom. Actually, I just thought of another one. I got inspired after watching the movie After Sun. I don't know if anybody's seen After Sun.
No one has seen that movie.
No, exactly. It's pretentious. It's one of the most beautiful films I've seen. And there's a song that they play at the end, the end scene. It's so beautiful. And I just got inspired by that and decided, let me mix that with some Lord of the Rings trilogy stuff and make it emotional. And so I did this edit where I combined the Lord of the Rings trilogy with that song. And to me, I was crying, going, oh my God, this is freaking beautiful. To this day, they're like 7 comments and 2 of them are me replying, something like that. Nobody's seen it. It's neither of our faces are on it. It's just Frodo staring at you in the thumbnail. And I'm just hoping one day the success of this channel, I just hope everybody goes back to that video. And I don't even know what it's called. I think it's a Lord of the Rings tribute. Here's me imploring everybody, go to that video and say you care about me. That's all.
It's got to be like those. It's like those old 2000s anime videos with the like Linkin Park song in the background.
Yes,
it's like that, but it's the nerdier version than Linkin Park anime.
It's real nerdy. Yes.
Oh, baby.
Yeah. That was my thoughts. Did you have one, Rich?
I want to give you like a little bit of hope and positivity on that one.
Yeah.
Apparently, my cousin found our video kind of more organically of the meditations.
No
video.
way.
Yeah.
What? No, not a chance.
Well, she apparently got really into stoicism of like she has joined a stoic society, which I understand and explained to her the irony of.
That's so ironic.
A stoic society.
Correct.
Whatever. She's happy. I'm happy for her. Good things. But she really enjoyed our our breakdown of meditations and kind of explaining Marcus Aurelius's interpretation of a practical stoicism. So
wow,
she enjoyed it.
She saw that organically.
Yeah.
That's shocking.
So
wow,
one of the 5 views of that is her.
Nice. I similar to what you said, Austin, I made a video essay of about why you should read The Dark Tower. It was like one of my first videos, and put a ton of effort into it. Like wrote out a script, like really made sure like the vocal editing was like crisp. And nobody watched that video, like absolutely nobody. And
It's
then
always
like probably 2 weeks later, yeah, I think this is my 5th month doing the channel. Like 2 weeks later, I was trying to figure out a video to do on Friday, and I was like, you know what, I haven't talked about a bunch on the channel is like the weird horror I've read before fantasy. And so I just walked around my bookshelf, grabbed 12 weird books, just didn't write anything down, and just pressed record, and I just talked about all 12 books, and that was like 500% view rate of any of the other videos I've done. I think to this day it's still my best video on my channel.
No
And
way.
it was like I did not prepare anything. I just went, here's House of Leaves, this is why you should read it, here's this, and the thumbnail was pretty decent. I think that helped. But it's so funny that like the difference in amount of time I spent on those videos, and one of them just hit the algorithm somewhere right. Outside of the videos where I get other people to recommend stuff, the booktubers recommend, like no video is even close to that one. And I'm over here with my like Dark Tower video, like someone watch it. It's so good, you know. So I feel you on that one. All right.
This is not a one-to-one, but you know those actors, actresses that get so well known for a role that they didn't love that role.
Yeah.
And that's what they're known for. And then they do any kind of artsy film after that, and they go, look at this thing that I acted in and tried. And then no, you just call me Indiana Jones or whatever it is that the actor's known for.
Yeah. Irene said, what happened to rapid fire questions? We happened to
okay. Okay,
Yeah,
one sentence responses. Rich and I will stay to that. We're sticking to it. Let's go.
Okay. All right. Okay. This one, you could be like a 1 or 2 word response on this one. Okay. We'll go back to Richard on it. What's the worst book you had to read in high school, Richard? Like you had to read it for class. It just makes you cringe just thinking about it.
Caveat, Old Man in the Sea.
Okay.
At the time, that was my least favorite book to read in high school. I didn't get it. I have since read it after high school, sometime in college, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But other than that, I think my high school actually picked quite a few good books. But I know I remember hating Old Man in the Sea.
Austin, man, what did it for you?
Trumpet and the Swan.
Didn't have to read that one.
That was elementary school for me.
I was like expecting it to be some like really, really like highbrow literary.
No, it's purely because. Okay, I said one sentence. Your turn, Phil.
You can take my sentence because I can't even remember like more than 5 books that I read in high school. So, and I kind of liked them all.
Oh gosh, I went to the wrong high school, dude.
If I read, I don't know. I can't even tell you. It seems like a 80 years ago. I can't even remember if I read them, if I didn't read them, what happened. Only one I really remember is Catcher in the Rye, to be honest with you, which I liked. So,
this is my sister here. She is almost correct. This is the second worst book I had to read in high school. Great Expectations.
Yeah, I don't.
Absolute dog water. Nothing happens.
Our friend highly recommended it to us.
I mean, okay. Well,
it says he said it was his favorite book ever.
Oh. I mean, I was 17 at this point. So, I mean, I will say the one that sticks in my craw the most is because I had AP English 12th grade, and the summer beforehand, the teacher found everybody who was signed up for AP English and said, you have to read these 2 books in the summer before you get here so that we can start. This is public school too. I'm like, this should not happen. What are we doing? I did not sign up for this. She gives us the 2 books, and the first section of 12th grade AP was on feminist literature, and it was Tess of the D'Urbervilles and The Awakening. Have you guys read The Awakening?
No.
All right, I'm going to spoil it for you. You don't want to read it. Okay. In The Awakening, this woman, she decides that she doesn't want to be a part of like this patriarchal society, right? And she bounces. She leaves her husband. She goes to do what she wants to do for the 300 or 400 pages of the book. And the book ends with her still not being happy with her life. So she walks into the ocean and drowns herself. That's the book.
Yeah.
And I was like, one, that doesn't seem very feminist, right? Like, it didn't work. It didn't work.
Is the message that you shouldn't leave?
I mean, but, and then two, like, just snooze fest, right? The whole time. And I just never forget. I had to read that before I even got back to school, right? But, yeah. But it's so funny
Wow.
that same class, she did this, reignited my love for reading in a way. That same class, and this book is still my top 10 all time. She made us pick out of a stack of 20 popular novels that weren't, literary fiction, and we had to do a report on it. And I was assigned Ender's Game, and I mean, like, that's still my top 10 of all time. And I also, for Fahrenheit 451, was one for me that I was like, oh, like, stuff that's more literary can still be really fun to read. But then all the other ones, Gingerbread Man says Count of Monte Cristo. I mean, the long version's pretty tough. I don't know.
We're reading that next 2 weeks.
You doing
We have a book club on.
You doing the long boy or the short boy?
Unabridged. This ain't your
as God intended.
as God intended.
Come on.
Oh, what's up, Brian? Brian says, "Hey,
Fuller,
Priest, sorry I'm
longer,
so
and
late.
uncut.
I'll have to catch the gang here on replay." Thanks, man. Good to see you, Brian. All right, so next one is we're gonna start with Phil. What is your biggest guilty pleasure music?
I wouldn't even call it. I like everything. I feel like the first thing that's coming to my mind is Chapel Roan and how she just puts banger after banger. I mean, I was on a big Chapel Roan kick for a while. I don't even call it a guilty pleasure because it was awesome. But yeah, I guess like I have kind of obscure, random bands that I love, but I also like I'm brave enough to admit that I like some, top 40 music and all, top 40-esque or pop music and like that Charlie XCX, kind of music is just, slaps, and I'll listen to it at the gym.
It just slaps.
Yeah.
You would like talking about music with Jake from Nerd Level Rising. He looks like he only listens to progressive death metal, which he does. He does.
I hope
But
here.
Oh, Jake's the man. But he also listens to like the most top 40 stuff, like at the same time. It's fantastic. Austin, what's your guilty pleasure music wise?
I do listen to anything probably besides heavy metal. That's probably the only thing. And I guess my guilty pleasure would be that, the girly pop category of stuff where you got who's the one that sang Driver's License?
Oh, Olivia Rodrigo.
Olivia Rodrigo, songs like that.
That's a banger. That's a banger for sure.
Your driver's license last week, just like I always talked about. You were so excited for me. Finally drove up to your house.
This is beautiful.
Something last summer. It's like it gets you feeling like I'm a 16-year-old girl. It just gets me. I don't even know how it touches my soul, but it does. So songs like that, I guess, would be my guilty pleasure.
Her best song is Vampire, though, but it's fine.
Which one's that?
Vampire? I'm not
How's
saying
that. I'm generally very bad with so is it what's the chorus? So you can just word out the chorus.
Let me just make sure I get these lyrics right. I want to well, let's see. Because I've made some real big mistakes, but you make the worst ones look fine. I should have known it was strange. You only come out at night. I used to think it was smart, but you made me look so naive. The way you sold me for parts, you sunk your teeth into me. And she's like, blood sucker. That one.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
He sang one line. He sang one line, and we all immediately knew it.
Song's gas.
By the way, Irene says Benson Boone. That's not a guilty pleasure. That's just great art right there.
No, guys, not Benson Boone. That new song
Boone's
is
getting
bad.
He's getting dragged on TikTok lately.
Because the new song is bad.
What was his new song?
Oh, it also didn't help that what's the like the big music critic guy with the
needle drop
and the glasses.
Anthony
Fantano has a short where he listens to it and just like vomits basically.
Couldn't imagine what he said.
And if Anthony Fantano hates something, everyone has to. So
yeah.
Could you wait? I'm gonna look that up after because I watched Fantano's stuff.
Moonbeam ice cream one. Is that the one?
Yeah, it's that one. Yeah.
What's it called?
I just know that lyric. I only know 6 seconds of the song. And on TikTok, but
oh gosh, Richard, what's your guilty pleasure music, man?
most stuff I probably wouldn't be guilty about, but the stuff that like fine to talk about, but you would feel embarrassed like in public, people like find you're listening to,
Yeah.
would probably be like some anime opening soundtrack that just slaps. And it's like, it's so good, but I'd be embarrassed if my headphones got unplugged suddenly.
Yeah.
That would probably
it says something about the rest of your life, you know.
Exactly. That's the problem. It's like, I
Irene-
swear I also like the Rolling Stones. I like Michael Jackson too. I have other interests.
Irene
It's
Irene
not
says
the only playlist.
Irene said that song is called Mystical Magical, by the way. The
Okay.
Benson Boone song. Mine would be, and this is going to be in the same vein as you guys, I am a chill for early Billie Eilish. Last album was trash, but everything before that was so talented.
Yes.
And so I would say early Billie Eilish for me is one. This is not as much like a normal person thing to be like embarrassed about, but like me and my friend group grew up listening to only pop punk and metal, right? And I have recently gotten into what I call sad boy country, which is like if you ever listen like Sam Barber or Dylan Gossett, it's just like emo white dude with a guitar just whining about everything, which is weird because it's always about girls, and I've been with the same chick since the 9th grade, so I have no experience with heartbreak or like any of these emotions, but they're just those songs just hit, you know. And I used to hate country. I'm from like a very redneck area, I guess is the best way to put it, and I'm very not country, and so like liking country for me fits into that category because I'm like, I've never liked country, and now here I am. I don't know, but all right, I love this question. This is a great one. If George R.R. Martin dies before finishing Game of Thrones, who should finish it? Richard.
Actually, an out of left field pick, James Islington.
Ooh,
I think
Interesting.
the main problem. So he's not going to get the prose like that George has. Like George's character and prose work is masterful. Second to really none. Like masterful. But the problem that George seems to have is plot and trying to tie everything together in a very satisfying way. I can think of no one better than James Islington.
That's fair.
that makes a lot of sense.
I would have. Joe Abercrombie is the obvious choice of grimdark, etc. But I'm going to throw it out of left field. Bernard Cornwell.
Okay, haven't read any of him. He's like mostly historical fiction, right? Or like
Yes, I said it too because George, when talking about Bernard Cornwell, is talking about Bernard's writing, saying it's some of the best action he's read, and is just so impressed by it that I think George would hand off the reins to. He would want to give it to somebody he respects a bit.
This is gonna be tough for me because I haven't read Game of Thrones. I read the Dunk and Egg, shorts,
Okay.
but I haven't. That was years ago. So I'm just gonna say Pierce Brown because I feel like he's gonna wrap up Red Rising.
Dudes.
He does have a fantasy series that he has begun to put some pen to paper on, apparently, which makes me
I think I saw like a clip on that. Yeah,
makes me so excited. This isn't a bad pick. Richard Swan, not a terrible pick here by THX.
I love Phil's answer. Damn. The Reaper of the Seven Kingdoms.
Matt said, "Let it rip." Doors of Stone would be the better question. I don't think Richard cares who would write Doors of Stone, as long as they don't include 70 pages of. Oh, wait, you guys haven't read book 2, have you? I don't want to.
I already know spoilers. It's fine. No one
70
cares.
70 pages of just absolutely pleasuring a sex being.
And you like that? You like the book?
No, it was an awful section that I basically just skipped through. But
What'd you
the book
give
was
the
still
book overall?
fantastic. I loved it.
You did?
I love both books. They're like,
Oh,
yeah, they're some of my favorite.
other than those 70 pages.
But in those 70 pages, I was just envisioning Patrick Rothfuss sitting in his mom's basement, like unshaven with no shower, just like, yeah, it was bad.
Just like he was in Name of the Wind when he was writing, Denna and his view of relationship. We won't go there.
it's always tough. It's always tough when those scenes come up when you're listening to the audiobook, like in your car with the windows down. It's only happened to me a couple times, but that's tough. You don't expect it. It comes out of left field.
Yeah.
Phil, have you read Name of the
Red
Wind?
light. Like, what is that guy listening to?
Phil, have you read Name of the Wind at all?
No, I haven't. And honestly, I know that you guys like compare Name of the like I don't know the writing of Name of the Wind to Christopher Rocchio's writing a little bit but you know it scratches the same itch but potentially better and quicker. So I feel like I'm just gonna stick with Christopher Rocchio for now.
You'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
Good, man. That's all you need. Christopher Rocchio is the only author you need.
Just this is for Preacher only because he's here. I even think Rufus's prose is so overrated. I genuinely
get out.
I think people see some music scenes, they get really excited, and they're like, "Oh, that was so beautiful," and the rest of it is just words. It's normal fantasy prose. Sorry, I'm just saying, Preacher. I just know we were here to fight about this, so I had to come in.
Matt Talk literally just described exactly the stuff that I was referencing.
Not me with the spicy scene from Jade City coming.
That's exactly what happened. It's literally what I'm talking about. Yeah.
There's a scene in and it's not like spicy necessarily, but there's a scene in DCC 6, I think it is, where something ridiculous happens that is like the it's kind of the climax of the running joke about feet. If you guys
Yeah.
There's in DC 6. There's a moment.
Good to know that's gonna go on for 4 more books.
There's a moment that I'm not gonna spoil. I am walking around my church on my lunch break with my headphones in when that scene hit, and I literally had to sit down on the curb because I was about to pee my pants. And I was like in the moment, just walking around my church, and what was happening in my headphones, I was just like, oh no! But
in God's house, for shame.
Rothfuss's prose is just him smelling his own farts.
Correct.
But Riggs loves the Name of the Wind, so I will say this: I think the biggest issue with the Name of the Wind for people who don't like it really does come down to if people who hate Kvothe it's such a deep seated hate that you just can't be around him, right? So it's like, I don't want to be around this guy. It like really comes down to him for the people who don't like the book. And I understand that. Right. But it's still fantastic.
Not inaccurate.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem with Name of the Wind is the characters, the plot, and
just stop.
The message. It's the message.
And the message. The message of the book is terrible.
I'm keeping my opinion on the message reserved for how he finishes it. In my opinion, book 2 sets up a little bit of knocking Kvothe down a peg, especially young Kvothe. And if he did that in the third book, I think your opinion of a lot of those things would change. I think Rothfuss did a poor job in book 1 of making it clear what I think he does a little better in book 2, which is that Kvothe, young and present, who's still not that old, is not supposed to be reliable or liked or a positive role model in any way. And so, like, I think book 1 doesn't do a great job of explaining that. If in book 3, if it ever happens, what I would hope and expect is that a lot of those things he makes clear it's the reason for Kvothe's like almost downfall type scenario. But we'll never know because he's never going to finish it. So
yeah,
we're never going to finish it.
To respond to Matt on that is the fundamental difference. Is Hadrian and Kvothe have some similar aspects, especially in book 1, but the difference is it's very clear of older Hadrian and young Hadrian are very clearly not the same.
Yeah.
And there is a drastic difference.
Correct.
And so you know that young Kvothe is wrong. Young Hadrian is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
In Name of the Wind, they don't seem that different, and it seems like
especially in book 1, Kote, right? Older Kote doesn't have much of a present character arc at all, right? Like he's kind of just telling the story, and so you don't really know how much he's grown because he doesn't really clue you in on it very much. Book 2, he does it a little bit better, but I still would agree completely that within the framing device, Hadrian much more says, and this was the moment I was an idiot, right? Whereas you don't really see Kvothe do that too much. What did Rothfuss do? Not finish book 3. That is what Rothfuss has not been doing. All right, moving on to last couple things here, and then we're going to wrap it up. We'll be a little quicker on this than probably I intended, but we talked too much, and that's okay. I would love to know about like the moment you decided I want to make a booktube channel. Especially not that I don't love you, Richard and Austin, but I've heard you talk about this. Phil, I want to know, when was the moment you were like, Phil got books?
Yeah. So as we mentioned, a little callback, I was Phil Got Fits before, and Phil Got Fits was born to be kind of a second channel for my main job is actually content creation. I have to eat gluten free for health reasons, so I have a whole Instagram, TikTok channel called Phil Hates Gluten. It's just me, living a gluten free life and reviewing foods, restaurants, and making
Oh,
skits
wow.
and being goofy. And so I had Phil Got Fits kind of as like a second thing to be, fun and just kind of have a second channel. And then stopped doing a little bit. And like I said, got into reading last year and decided, okay, like maybe I'll just like, put it on Phil Got Fits, like a video of me talking about these books. And it got literally like my videos on Phil Got Fits would get like 1,000, 2,000 views. This one got like 20 views in like 4 days. I was like, oh, I guess no one wanted to hear me talk about books then. And then randomly the video just took off, like one of the first videos I made, and now it's like my most viewed video. And so I was like, okay, like that's interesting. And I made another Phil Got Fits video after that, and it didn't do well. And everyone kind of was telling me to make the booktube channel, and I kind of just committed to it. But the reason I made it and wanted to commit to it is because I'm a content creator, I'm always on my phone and always looking at screens. My screen time is like, I throw up if I look at it. Last year, like it was so high. And so that's why I got into golf a little bit, is to get my eyes off a screen. That's why I got into reading at night, so I wouldn't scroll and like, oh, I'm like looking for trends and things I can, use for my, YouTube or whatever. But I would just get caught in the, doom scrolling for 2 hours. And so I swapped that for reading last year. And I always wanted to be a reader. And last year was finally the year I did it. And so I felt like I could maybe, hit that audience of people like me, in 2023 and beyond, or before, and kind of try to resonate with them. So that's kind of why I've been doing it. And now it's been an interesting game of like, okay, now I got to like read more books and figure out how to talk about books and not just be like, that was dope, that was sick. So I'm trying to get a little bit better, learning new words and new things. And, it's cool. A lot of the people, I was watching 2toRamble. There was a big reason why I started, or I probably thought I had the confidence to talk about books a little bit, and people like Smitty. I don't mean that.
I mean, if these guys can do it.
No. I just loved your takes. I was like, okay, these are just two guys talking books. I love it. And Smitty, I don't know if you guys know Smitty from Book Talk.
Oh, he's great. He's the best.
Probably you guys and him are like my top recs from what if you looked at what I read last year, it's like, okay, you guys or Smitty probably recommended it. So, just kind of that's why a lot of those things. And it's been really fun. Honestly, I love making YouTube videos, and it's been fun to edit and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So.
I know this probably sounds really small, but like the first thing that stuck out besides like your humor was the jump cut editing, or like the really quick cuts on the editing. Cause most booktubers just talk and just press record and go. And so like, it like attracted me almost immediately. Like, oh, this is like a different way of doing it. That almost felt like a water hose, like in a lot of ways. Where it was like, I'm just hearing this dude just gush about this book, and there's like no breathing in this entire video. Right. But I think it works so well for like the way you present the content. And then I knew I was hooked the moment you missed your first fadeaway and said like Matthew Dellavedova. And I was just like, I mean, I'm in college. I knew every starting five and every sixth man on every NBA team, and was like a little obsessed. Right. And so when you said like some random seventh man, I was just like,
dude, I have respect for this. I need to give those guys credit, because that's who I was on my basketball team. And seventh man is generous. I was probably the 12th man on my team. I got to give those people a shout out.
I commented on like the first video that I watched of yours and just mentioned some random basketball guy, and then you commented back, and I was like, I wonder if he'll ever remember that I was the only person who knew Matthew Dellavedova.
Definitely. Yeah, dude. Delly was a goat, and people forget about Delly. Not me, though. Not me. Not us.
Never. Like he's dead or something.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, 2toRamble boys, tell us, when did you decide? Like, what was the moment you were like, I'm gonna do it?
the moment. So we had a little bit of a buildup of Rich and I. We met each other in college, and we graduated in 2020 with COVID. So we were back in our respective. You stayed around in the area of DC. I went back home, but I was looking to move back into Virginia, and Rich and I were going to be roommates. Even before moving back in, we were already feeling that post-college, you're an adult life now. What do you want to do for the rest of your life? And we started getting our normal jobs, and we're figuring out this is even early on. This is years even before we made the channel. And we were tossing around this, I guess what I'm reading right now, meditations. I just read or finished one of the, what do you call them? One of the parable side. They're not parables, but one thing that Marcus Aurelius is saying, not to be, we're bros, I'll just say it. So Marcus Aurelius, he was saying, if a God came to you today and said, hey, you are going to die tomorrow, or you are going to die 2 days from now, your reaction wouldn't be like, come on, give me the extra day and like throw a fuss about it. You would you would look at that and go like, oh my God, I'm going to die soon is the reaction you'd get. But then he said, okay, now think about it this way. What if the God came to you and said, you're going to die tomorrow, or I'll roll a dice, or you'll die 25 years from now. And his point was the point he's making is to say, look at that day tomorrow and 25 years from now. That is the same as tomorrow and the next day. Time is not, you should look at the scope of time. We are just this little speck, this little tiny snippet in the grand scheme of things. And then Rich and I were just feeling this purpose crisis of like, oh, I don't want to do this. I go, what's something that we actually are passionate about? Well, one thing was stories. We call it 2toRamble because we were doing movies and shows and books. And so it started off like that because every other project we tried where we were going to make a pasta business of, oh, it's called Impossibly Good. We've told this story before, but we wanted to get together because we like making food and pasta. We thought that would be cool. That didn't go anywhere because of food cottage laws, and that was tough, barrier to entry. Then we're like, oh, what about a dumpster business? We're not passionate about trash. So we just kept going until we found something that, oh, we loved, plus the barrier of entry is low enough to where we just have to buy some stuff and put it online. That's not too difficult. And so we were trying to do something with our time that 3-6 months later, we'd look back and go, oh, that wasn't like my 2021 was or 2022 was, where it just felt like, look at all that year you just did. What did you accomplish in that year? You did nothing. Everybody was saying how you had all this time in COVID and like, oh, gonna learn a new language, do this. And it was helpful because we had two of us to push the other person and just force us in the hole of let's do something we actually love and make something out of it. And so we just shook on, okay, let's do this for at least 3 months. And then we just kept shaking after that to the point where our last shake was probably like 2 years ago because it just kept going. So that's why it came from this moment of we want to do something with our lives.
Yeah, I like that. Do you want to add anything, Richard? Or are you just going to say, yep?
No, I just remember the kind of creative moment of let's do YouTube or let's do a podcast was we were sitting at the kitchen table. At like we sat down close to like 11 p.m. and then we were chatting till close to 4 a.m. about like God, religion, and all just philosophy and stuff, and going, and we just had a moment going, you know what, if Joe Rogan can like do this stuff and get paid, like we unintentionally talked for like 4 hours about random stuff. Why can't we just like film that, put it on YouTube?
There you go.
We can chat for an hour. And so, yeah.
So Joe Rogan was your 2toRamble for me.
Yes.
Yes.
Fair
enough.
Somebody clip that.
Yeah.
That's the thing too. When we would talk later, we do that all the time. And if you notice, the videos we like doing more is when we're breaking down a topic or going on fairy stories by Tolkien or something about some religious philosophical thing to talk about. That's why books are more interesting to us over time, is just what can you get out of it? And also mixing that in with the fun you get of entertaining Red Rising stuff. So it's the best of all worlds in the book world.
Nice. Yeah, I think the first video of y'all's I watched was the Red Rising review, if I remember correctly.
Oh yes.
And one of the
that is frequently.
But Preacher, how would you start?
So I was thinking about it for a hot minute. Like I said, I used to do video game streaming, like on Twitch. And that was awful, like not fun at all. Thought it was going to be a blast. It was like so much effort. Part of the problem is like, scheduling is important for YouTube in terms of like getting your videos out consistently. But with streaming, you literally have to tell everybody like when you're streaming, and like you can't miss it, right? Like, and so I'd come home from work, especially after I had my first kid, and it would be like, sorry, honey, I have to stream from 7 to 11 tonight, even though I feel like crap. Our kid's sick. You haven't seen me in 3 days. Like, but if I don't, no one will watch me, because consistency is like everything on live streaming on something like Twitch.
Yeah.
And so it just quickly became like really like a chore, right? And so stopped doing that. Started doing a once a month live stream podcast about video games, where it was just, it was a lot chiller. It was a blast with a couple of my buddies. And then eventually stopped doing that too. Started getting into like BookTube and watching that. And then the first video I did was actually just for Town Square for Talking Story. And I was like, that was fun. And then I was like, like the video looked pretty solid. I remember how to edit. I know like all that piece. I can just use my phone. I already have a mic and all these things. And so I was like, why not? And then I think the first video I made was end of December, right? Like January 1st-ish of this year. And just been doing about once a week and really enjoying it. But it was really Talking Story and kind of the Town Square idea, and just watching a lot of them and Mike and you guys, and going, man, like this would be really fun to do. And the community around, especially like John's Talking Stories channel, is so supportive that I saw a couple other guys like do it and bite the bullet and go, I'm going to try this. And then like everybody was behind them. And I was like, wow, this is like, I'm just going to do it. And I think people will actually watch it because of how awesome this group of people are, right? Even if I suck. And I like to talk. Like I joke about it. I have 2 jobs in real life. I'm a pastor where you talk all the time. And my other job, I help high school baseball players get recruited by colleges. And so I'm the director of college recruiting for like an organization. And so I literally talk at church and I talk about baseball 24/7, and communications, pretty easy for me. And so I was like, oh, this looks like something that would be fun to do. My biggest worry was like being able to read enough books to have enough content. I was like, I can talk all I want. Right. And some of those have been like backlogging some things and being like, well, newer channel, like lists of 12 books I read that I loved is easier because I didn't have a channel 6 months ago. But yeah, I would say like just the support of like the different BookTube communities I was already a part of, like in a lot of Discords and stuff, combined with just wanting to try it out. And it's gone pretty well so far. If you would have told me in January that I was talking to the 2toRamble guys, I would have been like, sweet. I hadn't found Phil yet, but my daughter knows all of y'all's faces from when I put it on TV while I'm cleaning the house. And so this evening,
Dad, the scary bald man's back.
This evening, she saw the thumbnail as I was getting everything ready, and she was like, "I know those guys." And I was like, "Oh,
that's
so cute."
wow.
Yeah, I know, but yeah, that's kind of my my answer to that question. But I've been having a blast with it. It's way more fun than streaming video games, that's for sure. Oh man, yeah, because like this past week, I had an awful, like not an awful week, but I had a lot going on at work and family stuff, and we're getting some things ready for vacation, and I was just like, I got this thing coming up Monday. I'm just not going to put a video out Friday. And I just didn't. And it was okay. Right. And life goes on. And my next video will probably be just fine. But like with video game streaming, you miss a day, you bail on something, people drop their subs, and next thing you know, no one's watching. So that was always pretty difficult. I did make this is a funny story. I made the one thing about live streaming video games is if you do have people who watch, you can make some money. Like, yeah, that's the weird part about it. Whereas like with YouTube, it's still, a little different. I did a hot wing challenge, and I set like it was like a couple $100, and I won't drink milk. Another $100, and I won't have water at all. Another $100, and I like won't use ranch. And within the first 10 seconds of the stream, all of those numbers were hit. And I couldn't go to work the next day. I had to call my boss, our senior pastor, and be like, hey, I'm in the bathroom so much right now that I just can't come in. And but it was worth it. So no, but I've been really enjoying that. But it's cool to hear kind of how everybody's coming to it a little bit differently. But I think love of books in general, and like I said, the community being so easy to just like come alongside. Like I was never worried that like I'm gonna make a video and people are gonna hate it. My one worry was a little bit the religious side. Like I do get a decent amount of comments from both sides. Like, should you be reading this? I thought you were a Christian. And then the other side, I get these really funny people who they're not actually funny, but who say things like, well, the best fiction book is the Bible. And I'm like, oh boy, thank you for your wonderful comment on my video that had nothing to do with the Bible. So that was my one, like,
I remember that era of like YouTube atheism channels.
They're still around, buddy.
Yeah, but they're not that. Like I remember the era.
Yeah,
you know,
I still get those occasionally.
It's like,
yeah, I still get those occasionally. I did a short that popped off a little bit like early that was like why I think reading fiction helps you read the Bible, and just talked about like theming and things like that, and understanding like basically just interpretation is easier when you're well read, right? And I got multiple of those comments. Well, you better read the Bible now because you read more fiction and the Bible's fiction. And I was like, oh boy. But that was probably my only worry, was that like some of that would happen, or that somebody at my church would be like, why are you reading this book with a wizard in it? But that hasn't happened either. So, so we're good there. But all right. So I'm going to do the giveaway now for our boy, Chance Dillon. So I'm going to give you guys 30 seconds to hop in if you want to do that. If you want to be a part of the giveaway for Chance's Mercies, Tears of the Fallen, make sure you put #mercy into the comments. And I'm going to figure out how to share the screen real quick. Let's see if I can make it happen. All right.
Come on now.
Did it work? Did it work?
Is it going to announce the winner? And
yes.
Who did it?
This is it. All right, you guys get in there. Gingerbread, you did not spell mercy correctly. You might want to
I really hope Chance puts his own puts his own hat in the ring to take it back.
Genuinely, guys, like this cover is gas.
Yeah, it's a sick cover.
And then like I love the side too with the guy.
Ooh.
Yeah. When it gets more than one, it's a really nice side
there.
So I'm stoked, very stoked to read it. All right, I'm gonna give 5 more seconds, and then we're gonna draw this bad boy. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I saw us there.
We almost made it.
Come on, do it.
Brosina wins.
Bros.
Oh gosh. Congratulations, Brosina. I'll connect with you to get you that book. Well, that's awesome. I hope you really enjoy it. That's going to be an interesting one because he is a college student at my church. So hopefully Chance Dillon's book is appropriate. I'll have to, I'm just kidding. Bro's 20 with a big boy job. He'll be just fine.
Okay.
But Trent, congratulations, man. I'll make sure I get you that book. You were close, Shane. I'm sorry. But I tell you guys, I'm really excited to read Chance's book. And I know it's funny. I read Discovery, and I know obviously 2toRamble guys have read that. Phil, you need to read it. Discovery by J.J. Minton, for sure. But I had a couple people who were like, look, I know you said it was good, but like, is it good, or is it like that's your friends on BookTube good? And that was such a frustrating question to get, but I understood it, right? And so I loved when you guys put your review out, because I think at this point you guys have proven that like you're not going to hold back any punches, even if it's somebody that you're friends with. And so I thought that was good, because I did my review right after yours. And I was like, as I was putting it together, I was like, how many people are going to ask if I'm just being nice to John? But man, that book was so good.
Phenomenal book. Yeah.
That book was so good.
Yeah. That was special.
Yeah. Phil, you got to read it.
I watched, I think, a little bit of both of yours videos on it, and it sounds really interesting. And I've seen a couple of Talking Stories videos. I'm sub to them, but yeah, coming from not being friends with or know them, I would be interested in reading it and giving my opinion and seeing what I think. But it sounds like it's awesome. Sounds really cool.
It's absolute cinema. It reads. I don't even know how this makes sense, but it reads like a movie, and that makes sense. But I don't know what it means, but it makes sense to me. It reads like a movie in a lot of ways.
The main thing is I had to call John after, like, not after the prologue, but after like part 1 of the story, because like I liked the prologue. I was like, oh, this is nice, and I was really enjoying part 1, but then like I thought I knew where it was going, and then it just kind of did a couple things all at the same time, meshed it together, took it in a direction I didn't know where it was going, and I had to call John. I was like, part 1's brilliant. If the rest of the book keeps up with this, you're gonna have like a 5 out of 5 book, and it does. So like, I was just so shocked by part 1, and then the rest, just the ending especially blew me away. But the rest of them, amazing.
Is it a standalone?
No,
it knew, but
Well,
I'll be honest, it's one complete.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. I felt a degree of conclusion. I'm not left on like this cliff, like,
for sure.
I don't know. It doesn't feel like a half of a book or a third of a series. It feels like a one complete book, but it is a series.
Yeah. One of the things I said in my review was that it reads more like a horror novel in a lot of ways, and most horror novels are standalones. And so like in my head for most of the book, it was feeling like a standalone, and the end definitely puts you in a place where you're like, okay, book 2's coming for sure, but not in the same way as like most of your epic fantasy series, where the first book is a setup to get the quest started or something like that, right? I mean, it's a full story, and there's acts in that sense, right? Whereas like with the Blade itself, right? The Blade itself is the beginning of the story, and then the end of the story is now you see how all these people have gotten to the place where they can start the story. That's not how this is as far as a book 1. It feels much more like a horror novel in that sense. But it's gas, absolute gas. So, and definitely so unique. I think probably the closest thing I could describe is if you've never, it's like a mix of John dies at the end with like the fisherman. It's like the fisherman's super serious and John dies at the end as John dies at the end. And if you put those two together, I think that's the closest I could get to a comparison. I know you've read John dies at the end.
I was gonna say nice. Like I read that one, so I get it a little bit. Yeah.
And there's what's cool about it is there's moments where they're obviously leaning into that. The prologue is insane. Please go watch Austin's performance of the prologue. The prologue is absolutely insane. And then like immediately after the prologue, it switches to a much more like straight paced novel, right? That's not as like esoteric and weird as the prologue. And so there's moments of ridiculousness and moments of like just a really good book that's written very straightforward. I think they do it really well.
The thing is, with that first part, I was just blown away by the plot structure with how the information was coming across in multiple different media. Like, it was such a complex weaving together that I was, because there's like flashbacks, flash forward, like I'm invested in every section. Like, to me, I think on a technical level, part 1 is like technically brilliant, and then everything else has its like amazing moments, great characters, all this stuff. But on a technical level, I'm probably most impressed with part 1. That whole section blew me away.
Yeah, I think that's fair. How did we get to talk about Discovery? I don't know, but I always love talking about it. So, it's a fantastic book that I hope just absolutely blows up now that it's in people's hands.
It will.
We need a broken binding version. We need a broken binding so I can spend more money on the broken binding. It's killing me at this point. But my wife was making fun of me. We were doing the budget the other day, and she was like, "Why does this part of the budget just say books?" And then it was like, a certain amount of money, and I was like, "We're not touching that. Don't you?"
Why is it larger than our mortgage payment?
I don't have to go to the dentist next month. All right. Last question, big question, one I asked you guys to prepare a little bit for, and is very simple. We're going to give everybody an opportunity to pitch to chat a book that they think everyone should read, right? So like one book It doesn't have to be your favorite book of all time, but just a book that right now you're like, people need to read this book. And it could be your favorite book. That's fine. But I asked you guys, just to give me a book that you wish everyone in this chat could read, so you could talk more about it, so you could just gush about it. I'm going to start. We're going to switch it up. I'm going to start with Austin. He's always in the middle. So we're going to start with Austin. Then we'll go to Phil, and then we'll go to Richard.
I don't talk about it enough, but Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is something that everybody needs to read. If you want a book that is absurdism defined, I guess the closest thing you could say to it is Discworld, if you guys like Discworld. But Hitchhiker's Guide is something that is so deeply absurd and funny, laugh out loud, but also leaves you with a profound message just to think about. And it's such a short book as well. It's like 60, 70,000 words, where you could bang that out in a long car ride like Rich and I did. It's so quick to read, and it's a classic. There's so much you'll get out of it that you can, I guess the reasons to read are, hey, entertainment. Are you having a good time? You'll laugh hysterically. It's amazing. You also read to think and be profound. It has that for you too. And you want to read to be a part of a conversation, to, hey, when you're at a dinner table to talk about a book with somebody, Hitchhiker's Guide is something to actually bring up. It's a classic. It's something that you should add to your repertoire. Just every category of reading, it just does something for you, whether you're there for the fun, the thoughtfulness, or to look pretend. It has all of it. And it's so fun. And you don't go into it expecting, I'm talking to the audience, because you guys have probably read, but don't go into it expecting, oh, this character arc and journey or this intricate. It's not that. It's just fun, absurd, witty dialogue by the best to ever do it, Douglas Adams. That is my pitch. And he is the best to have ever done it, along with Terry Pratchett. They are on equal pars of humor and comedy. They're both there. It's just slightly different versions of that humor, that British humor. So I love it. And I you know what? Just talking about it, I'm going to reread it. We're going to review it, and then we're going to do all of it. It's lovely stuff.
Just ruined your TBR plans.
It did. Oh yeah.
Have you read all of them?
Just the first one. That's it.
Yeah, I've only read the first one as well, and it was fantastic.
Yes.
To hammer home Austin's point, like the fact that I always call myself like in terms of reading, like a pea brain, especially, well, former me, I should say, had a pea brain reading skill, and now I'm like a fava bean. But a pea brained Phil read, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and it was like so like. I understood it. I had so much fun with it. It was like I would read like kind of like one book a year every couple of years, and that was it. And I really loved it. And when I think of books, and like kind of what I try to do for my channel is like try to like pitch books that are easy to read and like kind of a lower barrier of entry for someone to enjoy at a surface level or even a deeper level with it. So like just to think that I could read that, like I would recommend that book to anyone because of how much I enjoyed it. And I agree. I want to like do a reread because it's been probably 5, 6, I don't know, if anywhere from 4 to 6 years since I read it.
The boys' buddy read.
Yeah, I mean, I would read again. It'd be quick. I have like the big one that has the three.
I do too.
Ones, yeah. And I remember reading a little bit of the second, but anyway, when you emailed us come with a recommendation, the first one that came to my mind, probably because I read it recently, is Rage of Dragons, which Austin, I know you were reading or gonna read. Have you read it yet?
I haven't read it yet. So,
I knew you were picking Rage of Dragons, dude.
I just feel like it's definitely top of mind for me, and it's just fun to talk about because I think, aside from them just throwing like 70 characters at you during the book, and like 50 of them don't even really matter, I feel like they like are just referenced, and then a page later, like they have a whole name and title, and then they just never show up again. That was like my one thing with it, but once you kind of identify who like the characters and side characters are, it is just such a fun, fast-paced book, and like it was hard to stop reading. Like it was like 85% action scenes, but somehow like tells a story in that action, and like sets up a whole, obviously a series that's going to be really interesting. Has dragons, has magic, has like this cool underworld element that I think
that's my favorite part.
Horror to it. Like I did not expect there to have that much underworld element to it. And it was like scary. I was like, I had nightmares, reading it before bed. It was also hard to fall asleep with my testosterone pumping, reading that book. But it was just a fun book. I think the author calls like John Wick, like in like kind of the Bronze Age, and I think that kind of checks out.
Yeah, it does for sure.
I'm interested to read the second one and see if like there's a little bit more character development for the main character, because he's just kind of pissed. He's just just on a revenge tour like no one's ever seen.
He mad.
I so need to read this.
I knew all these things going in. I was like, well, I feel like I know where it's going. I feel like I know he's just gonna be on a revenge tour, whatever. Like, I know I'll like it, but I didn't expect to love it. Like, it just kind of exceeded my expectations with how easy it was to read and how fun it was. It was just a lot of fun. So low barrier entry, and I think anyone would enjoy it, like from a skilled reader to someone who's just trying to get into it.
Yeah, it was probably the third or fourth fantasy book I read coming into like reading fantasy. So I was all horror, and was like really kind of picky about even that. Like I was that guy. And then my buddy David got me to read First Law. He was like, I think the horror aspects will connect. I read First Law, and then the next thing I read was Rage of Dragons.
I gotta read Blade itself. It's been like top of my TBR for a minute.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. My buddy Dave was like, some people think this is slow, but like I read a ton of Stephen King. I have every published novel except for like one or two that I can't find yet. And like some of his bigger stuff is 300-400 pages before anything happens. And so like the Blade itself was fine. I was used to that, but Rage of Dragons was the opposite, where it was like, just go from the beginning.
Yeah.
I still need to read book 2 as well. But man.
Yeah, it's fun book.
That's on my TBR. Oh, I need to read that.
I'm curious what Austin's gonna think.
I don't know if I like it as much as book 1, but I definitely liked book 2.
Okay.
So
I'm interested to see if there's more nuance in the character, like Phil said, in terms of just like, I'm mad, right?
Yeah.
But I did think the underworld aspect, the training kind of concept there was like so perfectly executed. I mean, training in hell is like the coolest thing I've ever heard of in my entire life. So.
Can you pull up that comment from Andrew, by the way? Can you pull up the I've DNF'd one? Andrew.
All he does is DNF. That's
Andrew,
it.
I just finished the book Orconomics, and I was like, oh, I had a really good time. That was such a fun book. And I was looking up Goodreads, seeing the information on it, and I saw a comment by you, Andrew, that said, I DNF'd this book 2-3 times, but hey, on the 4th time I read it through, and I really enjoyed this book. This was a great book. You know why? You DNF too early, Andrew. Give a book more than 2 sentences, okay? Andrew, give it half the book. I've never seen someone so stoically able to read 75% of a book and go, no, never mind, I'm done.
Yeah,
no sunk cost fallacy for Andrew. He's just immune to just time. It's impermanent to him. It's insane. Okay. Anyways, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah,
okay.
I like to mess with him because like he'll post this like monthly video, and he'll be like, I read 6 books this month, but then he'll talk about 10 because he DNF 4, right? And it's like he finished 6, right? But like there was at least 4 books that he read 100 pages and just never went back to it.
Oh my God.
We love you, Andrew. We promise.
We do, but it is that reputation is so funny though. Just the DNF king of BookTube.
Yes. It's the quickest DNF trigger I've ever seen in my entire life. Awesome. Richard, what's the book?
Well, I'll pick my favorite book.
Okay. I know it's going to be, I think.
Oh, yeah. Yeehaw.
Yep. I knew it.
Yeehaw. Larry McMurtry's Lonesome Dove. This chonker of a book. If I really want this book to actually be read by a lot more people, mainly just for the character work and proper dialogue scenes. The fact that this is a long book,
it's a chunker.
But what Larry McMurtry can do in very few pages on giving you both character depth, sympathy, really witty dynamics between characters, it is holy shit. Like, my God. Andrew, I swear to God. I swear to God, Andrew. Have a smidgen, an iota amount of perseverance, diligence to like read a book. And also, Andrew, that's the funniest part. It's great. That's my favorite joke. But no, it's an amazing novel with some of the best character character arcs that I've ever read. It is guttural, emotional, exciting. You get really excited about very small things, and that is just due to his writing ability. Some of the best writing I've ever read. My favorite novel.
I'm very excited to read that, and I'm actually putting it off because of how excited I am to read it. I need to read it when I'm in a headspace where there's not 4 other books going on. Like, that's one that I'm so interested in reading it that I'm waiting for that moment where I can just like devour it in a couple of days, maybe a vacation, something like that. Because my favorite book of all time in many ways isn't like a big old fantasy novel. It is because of the characters, and it is because of the dialogue, and it is because of like a lot of things I hear Lonesome Dove does well. So I want to read it this year, but I've got to find that moment, right, where it's like I don't have 4 other things that I'm currently trying to push through. I want to give it its due diligence, and it is humongous. So Andrew's Wizardly Reads said, Richard, have you read Boy's Life? We're going to come back to that.
I have not.
Let's see. I only DNF like 2 books, Plague of Giants and Prince of Thorns. I DNF Prince of Thorns. Holy
Same.
crap, that book sucked.
I read 2 chapters.
I read 2 chapters. Look at you. Because after the first chapter, I was like, oh, maybe this is
the prologue,
not how the whole thing's going to be. And then the second chapter was just as bad. And I was like, all right. But then I read the Library Trilogy Book 1 by Mark Lawrence, and it was like a totally different author. I was like, how is this the same person?
You should definitely give Book of the Ancestor a try. It's
okay.
Brilliant. A really wonderful series. Mark Lawrence is a great writer. I just couldn't stand Prince of Thorns. Couldn't do it.
Andrew finished Prince of Thorns' whole trilogy, but DNF'd all that other stuff.
You read a whole series that you're like, not worth it, but you DNF Lonesome. God,
all right. So let me give mine, and no one who watches my channel is going to be surprised. Richard, you need to read Boy's Life. This is the greatest book that I've ever read, and it's probably not that close. It is a coming of age story about a kid who is growing up in kind of a lower middle class family in a area that's kind of split between some race issues. And the dad witnesses a murder and begins to dream about the dead body, and they're trying to figure out who did it. And the kid is it's being narrated by his older self, who's returned back to the town, and he's basically describing everything he remembers from this period of time. And he says at the very beginning, some of these things are just things I remember, and I don't know how much I can trust my memory. And you just go on this journey in this 12-year-old kid's head, and he captures those like moments of, was this real? Did this happen? Is this fantastical? We don't know throughout the whole book. And especially if you love that trope of like, is this fantasy or not? But the dialogue and the characters and just how Robert McCammon puts together the story, it's the best thing I've ever read. Most people agree with me. Now, I did do this with my book club. We read it, and most of them did not love it. In fact, some of them didn't like it at all, but they're all like big epic fantasy guys. And they were kind of annoyed with that trope of like, is this fantasy or not? I think you guys wouldn't mind. It's slightly literary, like just more on the literary end of popular fiction. Like it's a little slower in that sense. If you read any Ray Bradbury, a little bit more similar to Bradbury. But man, it's a lot of people's favorite book ever for a reason. And this is not my typical book. When I read this, I was reading almost exclusively horror, like horror. And I read this because of how much I love King's coming of age. And he said that one of the books that he felt like captured that the best was this book. So I picked it up, and gosh, it's amazing. So you need to read it, and everybody in chat needs to read it.
I'm convinced.
Yeah, I'm convinced.
Phil, have you heard of Boy's Life?
I've never heard of it,
dude.
No.
Oh my gosh, cool story.
In club and win. Yeah.
In Boy's Life, there's a lot about this bike. And I had picked up a bike off Facebook Marketplace that was this cool old bike. And around the same time, I read Boy's Life. And I was like, man, the bike I picked up sounds a lot like the bike in Boy's Life. And so I emailed Robert McCammon's email on his website. And the next day, his the guy who runs his email got back to me and said, "Hey, I called Robert and asked him if the model you have was the bike he had when he was a kid that he modeled this bike after." And he says it's the exact same model.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." One, that he responded that quickly.
Yeah.
But two, if you read the book, you'll know like the bike plays a big deal. But man, if you guys have had any engagement with that trope of like, the concept of like children's memory and how they remember something happening, but it doesn't really cohere with reality as we see it, but you're trying to figure out whether or not it really happened. Such a cool thing that he plays with throughout this book. And it's just a mystery book that has a really cool plot and a pretty good whodunit and a really interesting conclusion on top of it. But it's one that I remember where I read it. I remember when I finished it. I remember like where I was sitting. I remember what I was thinking. I've read it 3 times and I do not reread books. So it's just that good.
Wow.
All right. So it has been 2 hours and 15 minutes. I think that we have had a pretty awesome stream. I want to thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out with me tonight. You guys are the bomb, and I think that more people, if they're not already watching you guys' content, should be. My assumption is everyone knows who you guys are. But it's been a blast and hanging out with you guys, and I think we need to do. Just saying, based on tonight, I think we need to have some bros book club or something's got to happen that's very revolving around bros because it seemed to stick. Maybe Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, bros read.
Hey, there we go.
All right. Well,
I'll
if there's anything you guys want to sign off with, anything you guys want to say, we'll start with Richard and go around the horn.
Well, yeah, if you guys are watching, sent from either Phil or ours social media, you make sure you subscribe to Preacher Reads down below. Don't know if how many of you guys there haven't already subscribed, but definitely give them a watch.
And that notification bell, very important. Which we never mentioned that.
We do.
Thank you.
Yeah, we don't mention that ever.
Yes, and that is that is more important because you ever get those notifications on your phone you will watch more YouTube videos if it comes up.
Oh yeah,
on your phone than just
I
scrolling
covet
through.
my notifications.
Mhm.
Like I think I only have like 2 or 3 channels that are ever like notified.
Must watches.
Yeah.
Wow. They're right there, Preacher and Phil's channel.
That's 2 of them.
I don't know.
Damn, a new 2toRamble live with it's just your own stuff. It's just the ego's like, oh my god, that thumbnail. Yeah, Rich said it best. Ditto to all that. And thank you for having us, Preacher. Phil, again, a pleasure.
Yeah, I think we've gone 2 for 2 on going over 2 hours. So love it. Always,
Yes.
always having a good conversation. I second what they say. So, yeah, subscribe, bell, comment. I'm gonna say comment and share this video with a friend who's also a dude and wants to start reading. So, yeah, it's been a blast, guys, and it's been fun. And I agree. I think we should read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I'm ready for a reread.
I like it. Bros.
Yes.
I'll make sure to shoot out an email on that. Maybe we can connect on it.
Awesome.
I know I have like a weird gap in the summer of like no new releases, and then obviously November's like going to be the hardest month ever with Sun Eater 7, Empire of the Dawn, Strength of the Few is all within. They're all within 3 weeks of each other. Like it's like 1, 2. Oh boy.
I wanted to ask then, either of you guys considering going to North Carolina for
I'm going.
signing release?
Yep, I'm going.
Sunny, you're going.
I will be there. Yep.
We will see you there.
Yeah.
Phil?
I had no plans to go there, but I might have to. I need to catch up on the books, man.
Yeah. I will 100% gonna be there. It's only like a 2 hour and 15-minute drive for me. So because I'm a Virginia boy as well, in case you guys didn't know.
Cool.
Yeah, we're not too far apart, but I'll be making that trip for sure. I know me and a couple of the guys that have been in the chat tonight plan on going together and seeing it, and like Talking Story will be there. You guys will be there. I think Chance and Jake are going. Chance Dillon and Jake from Nerd Level Rising plan on
This
going
is
as
our
well?
Dragon Steel this year. This is gonna be
It
great.
is.
Yeah.
But it's just at one local bookstore. That's the best part, right? Like, we're just gonna
Gonna
roll
get
into
mobbed.
this local
This bookstore is
bookstore.
gonna get so swamped.
I think this
It's
is
just
true.
Rockio's inside cowering as the outside, just dudes. You hear the building shakes.
Yeah, Matt is correct here. Phil, you need to move Sunnier to the top of the list. Be done with book 6 by the time November gets here. It's simple.
When in November? Do you know the day?
What's the release
My
date?
my
I
birthday's in
know
November. It might be a little birthday excuse.
it's a little birthday excuse. I like
Is it
it.
the middle? middle of
November
November?
18th. Yeah, is the release
Close.
date.
It's about a week away. Hey, I might
Yeah.
have to.
I like
I
it.
honestly, I
Not
feel
the
like
wedding
Demon and White's got to be my next read. So
Oh,
I'll get.
Phil's
Phil,
gonna love
same.
that one.
Same.
oh,
That's my next.
it's gonna-
Yeah, I know it's gonna bang. I just like it's just one of those things that like I know it's gonna bang. I'm just like waiting for the right time to read it.
Mm.
But
Phil,
yeah.
do you know, as we sign off, Phil, do you know your career shooting percentage on videos?
Literally, I would say I had one video where I got really hot. I hit like two shots.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess a solid 23%. Maybe less. Maybe less. Honestly, 17 probably sounds more right.
Okay, so I'm blanking on that's about the same percentage. What was the dude who was drafted by the 76ers that was good in
Bol
college?
Bol?
Couldn't shoot. Point guard, big point guard, tall guy for a point guard. Light skin.
Ben Simmons.
Yeah, you're the Ben Simmons of
Yeah.
YouTube, brother.
That's all as generous, man. I appreciate that, but that's generous.
That's an
By the
adorable
way,
dog.
who do you guys have winning the playoffs, or who do you have winning the? Who's in right now? Knicks
I'm
just won.
Not even watching.
I had to watch the Celtics lose by 40, and that was incredibly painful.
Oh, you're a Celtics fan.
Yeah, I OKC probably. I would say OKC,
Okay.
but it's still the semifinals right now, right? So
I think so. Yes.
I don't know. Honestly, I'm just clinically depressed after Tatum got hit, so.
Oh, it was like such a crazy turn of events too, because he had posted that like super. I love Tatum to death, but he posted that super cringe screenshot of him texting Kobe,
Yeah.
right? Like texting
Did he
Kobe's
post it
phone.
again?
Well, I'm
He
saying that
posted
like people were posting it around beforehand. Like,
Oh,
remember how
okay.
cringe Jason Tatum is, and then like
Oh.
then the next day, he gets the Kobe injury, right? Where it was
Oh.
like,
Oh.
and then someone was like,
birthday.
"Bro is trying so hard to be like Kobe,"
That's
and I was
dark.
like,
That's dark. I didn't see that.
"No."
Yeah.
Oh, those
But-
compilations. Sorry to double down, Phil. You're a fan, but those compilations of Tatum just copying every other person in the past's celebration.
I noticed it, dude. Trust me.
That's so
When he
cringy.
did it, I was like, when he copied KG.
We
Oh,
did it. Oh, it's-
No, it was hard to watch, but
Oh,
Yeah.
gosh.
yeah.
All
I'll
right,
take it. He's nasty. I'll take it.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank y'all so much again for being on.
Yes.
It was an absolute blast. We got to do this again. Everybody in the chat, thank y'all for hanging out. Make sure you go follow their channels and like and subscribe to all of their stuff if you haven't already. And go pre-order Chance Dillon's book when you get a chance, and go buy Discovery right now.
I'm
You
about
have
to
a chance
Discovery
do
right
that.
now. Yeah.
And support those guys as well. But thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out with me, and I'll see you guys later. Bye, everybody.
All right. See you guys. Thanks.
Peace.
Bye all.